So this is my all 12 forecast for the North Node going into Aquarius and the South Node going into Leo. In this video, I'm going to be looking at all 12 signs, one after the other, going from Aries right the way through to Pisces. And what I'm going to be doing is, and these are, I should say, are designed for your ascendant sign or rising sign. If you know that, that's perfect. If you don't know what it is, it's really easy to actually go on to astro.com or astro-seek.com and put in your time, date, and place of birth, and it will tell you what your ascendant is, and that's actually what we're looking at. So all of these forecasts are based on a whole sign model using your ascendant. Now, if you don't know your ascendant or rising sign, then you can also listen to the sun sign. Lots of people say it works with the sun sign, so give that a go. Some people even listen to the moon sign. So I just want to share this little bit of advice. The rising sign is going to describe how the nodes are going to be affecting your whole life over this next 18-month period. If you're listening from your sun sign, that's going to describe the personal changes that you're going to be going through in terms of your personality shifting, your energy levels. If you're listening to this, and your self-expression, if you're listening to this from your moon sign's perspective, it's going to tell you about your real internal shifts, like how your psyche is moved during this time. So feel free to play around. Anyway, I'm going to start now. So these are all completely chaptered, so you can just flick to what you need. Hope you find these useful, and I'll catch you at the end. Bye for now. Hey there, Aries. This is your forecast to understand the effects of the North Node going into the sign of Aquarius and the South Node going into the sign of Leo. Now, they are going to be here now, activating your 11th house and your 5th house over the next 18 months. And, you know, the nodes are really showing us the karmic lessons that we're learning, if you believe in karma, or if you don't like the word karma, they're showing you the kinds of struggles that you might come across, what you've already achieved in terms of these struggles, and how you might find life is trying to orient you. Now, I've also put in a couple of little representatives in your chart. One of them is Jupiter. You see him in that sort of cyan blue color. He's in the sign of Leo for the very first part of this nodal shift through Aquarius and Leo. Jupiter is going to be coming into a conjunction with the South Node, and that's for about 8.5 months. Now, it's a pretty, I would say, a pretty interesting conjunction, which I'm going to be talking about and how that might affect you at a personal level. We've also got a conjunction between the North Node and Pluto from May 2027 until March 2028. So it's a really, really long time, like 10 months of these two working together. So again, that's also going to take it's going to give you a lot of influence, and it's going to be influencing you as well. So how are these going to play out? That's what I want to really examine. So the North Node, which is currently in Aquarius in your 11th house, is pointing you in a new direction. It's just come from the sign of Pisces in the 12th house, which I imagine is showing you that you're really releasing and coming away from this feeling of maybe helplessness, which is a funny one for Aries. It's not something that I would associate with your sign. But having had the North Node going through the 12th house is a little bit like facing your fears, noticing your fears a lot more. And lots of intuitions come in. Some of them might seem irrational. If you're not used to using your intuition, you may well have felt quite spacey over the last 18 months and felt like you were dragging and you weren't quite sure where you were going, just like you couldn't quite put your finger on things. So I guess what I'm saying is you've been feeling very un-Aries for a while. And so actually, as the North Node moved out of your 12th and into your 11th, as it does that, you should start to feel a lot better quite quickly, because all of a sudden things start to get a little bit more specific. It's almost as if you were meant to lose sense of your direction so that when your direction comes back, you start to use it much more quickly and with a decisiveness that really pleases you. Now, talking of decisiveness, with the North Node going into the 11th house, there's a decisiveness through consensus, which may or may not float your boat. Because obviously, you know, the Aries energy is very much about understanding your strengths, not necessarily everyone else's strengths. It's a real sign of self-discovery and also self-development, like you are working on yourself. You don't need other people intervening. And so to the level of annoyance that you get when you're working with other people and their own unique idiosyncrasies and hang-ups and restrictions, etc., that will determine how easy this time is. To me, this is showing that you're coming into a time now where you're meant to be collaborating with people, that actually you'll move much faster when you're working with other people, and actually that you'll both lift each other up. It's not meant to be an either or. It's a time when you're encouraged to rise with the tide and to be part of that flow, not to be separate. So that might be the first thing that could be a little bit difficult. But like I said, it's a learning opportunity. In 18 months' time, from March 2028, the North Node is going to be going into your 10th house. Now, when that happens, you'll be back steering your own ship once again. You'll be really, really determined. You'd have learned some very good lessons about collaboration and possibly also about managing people, also organizing people, about how to be more direct, and also still stay calm with people. So it's a little bit like a training camp. It's a training camp for you rising up in about 18 months' time. It's not there to punish you. It's there to help you, because it's broadening your collaboration skills and your appreciation of other people. Now, because it's also in Aquarius, there's a really strong level of energy heading towards communities and idealism. The 11th house is really idealistic. So you might find during this time, you're either diving right into a collective communal energy where you're doing something and taking practical action about something that you feel really strongly about. Or you might find that the collaborations and the communities that you're working around are trying to get you to do that. And so it's going to be an interesting balance, because Aquarius can absolutely pull you in from a morally superior standpoint. And so one of the big challenges during this time in terms of how you work with communities is, can you find a way to work in communities that honor individuals? And can you find a way to contribute to communities? If you're being pulled in to be morally superior with other people, that's not going to float your boat. And it's also going to take you into a much deeper learning curve that will be quite painful. You know, one of the difficulties with North Node in Aquarius in the 11th house is that the energies of believing that the group is morally superior is this sense of the echo chamber. And of course, if you get caught in an echo chamber, that could absolutely skew your overall desire in life. It could actually be quite damaging. So I actually think, how can you work in a way that always feels practical and never feels like somebody is being put down? And you might need to be really, really strong whilst this is happening, because it's going to be very, it's going to feel very, very powerful and very heady, given that this time next year, or actually from May next year until March 2028, that the North Node and Pluto are going to be together in the 11th house. To me, this is signaling that you may well be leading a community and leading people in a very passionate and transforming way, or you might be absolutely in the center of a community that is really leading you in a powerful way. Now, I've put down here how your actions are transforming the collective. That's a really polite way of talking about the North Node and Pluto. That's a very optimistic way, where the power of the collective come together to transform people and transform the community and transform the collective experience. However, when Pluto and the North Node come together, it could also bring up fanaticism and power games and power over other people. That's not quite so pleasant. So I do think this period of time is going to give you exposure to all of these different energies for you to decide what feels good for you and what doesn't feel good to you. I mean, the North Node is giving you the gift of social discernment in a really strong way, but it's likely to pull you about a little bit. Also with Pluto, you can't always be sure what's underneath things. Like, is Pluto the planet that you trust? I don't like to say that you can't trust a planet. I mean, Pluto, we know, is about power, and he teaches us what it is to surrender, and what it is to feel vulnerable and to face our fears, which I think is a huge gift. However, he can keep some information hidden in his aim to retain power. So you might find that within the communities that you're in over the next 18 months, that you might feel like what you see is not the reality. There might be something much deeper underneath. So these are going to be fascinating times where you could really grow in influence, and have a lot more personal power. But it could also be a time when you're pulled in to influence other people in a strong way. So again, it's about choice. It's about discernment. Now, whilst that's happening, there's also the South Node going through the 5th house. Now, this is going to remind you of all the great things that you've done on your own. The South Node shows us what you've already done really well, what lessons you've learned, how easy they were. And I think also with Jupiter coming through here, and we'll start to feel it really, really quickly, because from October 2026 until June 2027, the South Node and Jupiter are going to be working together in your 5th house. Now, this is where I think things get quite exciting, because the South Node is showing you what you've already got as a skill. And Jupiter going through the 5th house is also showing you where you are becoming a lot more skilled, a lot more joyful in everything that you're passionate about. And so, like, Jupiter going through the 5th house is often a time when we really find ourselves and find what lifts us up, find what makes us feel really good. It can also bring in a new family, a new child. It can also bring us in a new lover. It's very sensuous and intimate. So it's like you are going on a journey of intimacy, one that maybe you haven't experienced for a really, really long time. I mean, the last time the South Node was here was 18 years ago, 18 years ago. It was like back in 18, 19 years ago, like 2007. It was absolutely here. So during this time, you might find that you're maybe not wanting to get involved, not wanting to be pushed into these hard-hitting, influential collaborations. You're not wanting to learn that because you're remembering how cool it is to just follow your own nose and to enjoy the celebration of what it is that you do. Now, when you realize that there's something that you're doing really well, this is asking you to remember the acquired wisdom that you've got and the confidence that has come from doing a job really well. And again, remember all the times when you've been really strong in yourself. This is encouraging you actually to go your own way, funnily enough. And so this is why the North Node and South Node are always working in opposition. They're always pulling you in two different directions so you can integrate in the middle. So it's interesting. You're going to be developing your own personal creativity, your own sense of intimacy, and potentially developing your family in a new way. There might even be a new member of your family because Jupiter can bring in extra people into your family, like, for instance, children. I should say on the front of children, in the 11th house also represents your partner's children. So if you've got stepchildren or if you're in a blended family, the North Node could be pointing you in the direction of the blended family, and just how easy it is in your own family versus how difficult it is and challenging when you're trying to balance the needs of people that have come from you and what you've birthed versus what has come into your world through your partner. So there are some real challenges. Essentially, this is really asking you, what's more important is your individual happiness and joy more important, or contributing to a community, contributing to something outside of yourself, which is more important? And the answer is there is no answer. That's why the North Node and South Node are, they can be such, they can really create frustrations because they are pulling you in different directions. But for this next 18 months, I would say you're being encouraged to examine your levels of joy that come from your own creations, things that are coming from your own volition, versus the joy, the social connection, the social influence, the feeling of being part of something. And the best way through this actually is to enjoy all of your creations, and to see that whether you're creating on your own or creating something with other people, there's satisfaction to be had. If I was going to think of 2 words or 3 words to describe this 18-month period, I would say this is about satisfaction. This is about something long lasting. So it's like, how can I build long lasting satisfaction for the things that I do? That's it in plain speak. So I hope that helps you. No doubt you've already been feeling these pulls because Pluto's been here a while. No doubt you've been invited to get involved in things that might go a bit slower because other people are involved. Things aren't so streamlined when you've got to get consensus from just 2 people, let alone 20 people. So good luck with that, Aries. Like I said at the start, when you've got through this phase, March 2028, you're going to be moving into a much more direct phase where your career is likely to really take off. So I think there are some very big key learnings going on during this time. So I'm going to leave that there. If you'd like me to look at your chart at a much deeper level, help you unravel some of these patterns, and just get in touch, all of my details are below. You can reach me via my Calendly link. Or if you would like to learn astrology with me in 5 minutes a day, starting from next Monday, starting really soon, then come and join me in my community. The address is below. Lots and lots of love to you. Bye for now. Hey there, Taurus. So this is your forecast, taking you through how to work with the nodes over the next 18 months, which will take you all the way to March 2028. Now, the North Node is always showing you the new challenges coming in and where life is wanting you to move forwards. And then the South Node in Leo, in your 4th house, is showing you what you might choose to let go of a little bit. To let go of and release some of your focus on it. So it's interesting because you've got these 2 energies that are kind of pulling you in different directions. And really, the 4th house is saying, well, if you can let go of this home, you can go further into this career, which is what the 10th house represents. Now, you'll also see I've put in a dot to represent Jupiter. He's in the 4th house. We've also got Pluto in the 10th house. These are very strong planets to have in the 4th and the 10th. Really, truly. And over the course of the next 18 months, in fact, I've put the dates down here, the North Node will connect with Pluto, and also the South Node will connect with Jupiter. These are very rare energies. And the fact that they're happening across your 10th house and your 4th house are really showing that this is a very major time with the nodes here. This is a time that's likely to really shift things. The 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th, these are the major houses. These are the angular houses. These are the houses where we start to make big change in our world. That also changes how we see ourselves. So over the next 18 months, you're going to be in a period of time where who you are as a member of your family or who you are within your home is likely to shift. How you see yourself at home, and then how you see yourself in your career and your standing in the world is going to shift as well. So let's get into this. So the first thing to observe is the North Node in Aquarius in the 10th is showing that there is a maybe social aspect to your work that is going to become stronger. The North Node in Aquarius is really asking us to get involved in things at a community level, to really contribute to communities. And also, if you're in a community, to honor individuals. There is this really strong need to learn to look after people in your career, as you stand in the world as an adult, that right now you have a much bigger responsibility than you've ever realized. So I think that's quite a big energy. The last time the North Node and South Nodes were here, you didn't have Pluto going through your 10th house at the same time, or Jupiter going through Leo at the same time. So this has a much stronger energy than where it was last time around 2007. So this is absolutely going to be shifting things for you. Now, the South Node in Leo is reminding you of all the great times that you've had at home. It's reminding you of how you've let go of things at home, maybe how you've relaxed at home because you realized you didn't need to try quite so hard. You've already learnt what you needed to give you everything that you need at home. That's the thing. You know, maybe you've been working a lot on your home life. Maybe you have developed things within your family and you've come to a time where you feel really quite accomplished, like things are working beautifully. And so now it feels safe for you to, because you've got these strong roots, it's safe now to focus on your career. And that is actually what the North Node is asking you to do. Now, because Pluto's already up here, you're already in the story of how can I be more powerful at work? How can I become a really strong authority at work? How can I have a lot of influence at work? You know, Pluto's a massive powerhouse. Having him up here, I think, is showing that you might have the complete responsibility for something and the responsibility for other people. It's very aspiring. It's really looking to take care of things. And so with the North Node coming closer and closer to Pluto, and from May of next year until March 2028, that seems like a long way off, but you'll find that as we go through this whole nodal pattern, this 18-month shift, that from March next year, you'll find that there are lots of opportunities for you to take greater responsibility, to level up, power up, step into a role that maybe you weren't ready for or couldn't quite see coming. And so it's like, how do you cope with that level of power? How are you going to cope with that? Now, one of the difficulties with the North Node in Aquarius is moral superiority. And I do think that is something that is going to be interesting to explore, because we're living in a world that really, I think, celebrates moral superiority. And so as you're going through these changes in your personal life, like you're given greater opportunities to rule over things and manage things and be in charge of things and to take responsibility, you might find that there are influences or energies trying to get you to believe that you're somehow superior. And so that's one of the challenges, is how can you hold these senior roles? How can you be really senior without allowing it to make you feel superior? Because the moment you feel superior, you'll be feeling very separate from people. And actually, one thing that I don't think Aquarius does like is the separation. Aquarius is really standing for the brotherhood of man, you know, the brotherhood and the sisterhood. So, you know, how can you come into your own power with humility and without the superiority? That's the big question. And it's going to be interesting as well, because at the same time, the South Node and Jupiter are having a bit of a party in the fourth, making it seem all so easy. And it's not to say you shouldn't be doing that. In fact, I think whatever is going on at home is there to teach you just how stable you are, and actually probably to teach you where you have natural wisdom and natural confidence. As the South Node and Jupiter connect, and they're going to be connected for 8.5 months from October onwards, it's going to be really showing you really what you do well, and actually what your magic formula is. Now, it might not be seen because the fourth house is really hidden. You know, it's your home, and it's FYI for people that know you, not for total strangers. But I wonder what it would be like to encapsulate how you are at home and integrate it into your 10th house. So maybe one of the things that you're learning over this 18-month period is how you can integrate being special in your own way and bringing that as a gift into the 10th house without feeling superior. So there's some big things. Now, one of the things I put into my part 1 which I released yesterday, was that with the North Node in Aquarius and the South Node in Leo, I think what we're working towards, the medicine of this time, is that we have communities that honor individuals and individuals that can contribute to communities. And so again, this is actually bringing your very defined ideas of what home life is and what career is, you know, because they seem like they're very separate things. Like, this is where I spend time with my loved ones. This is where I spend time with people I might be quite competitive with. In fact, you could actually reverse both those things. They could actually apply to both of those situations, actually. But you see my distinction. You know, one is more private, the other is a lot more public. And so how can you contribute to both of those? How can you see that your home might be attached more to a community and your work is more attached to a community? Another thing about your career, and then I'm going to end. This is, I think, bringing up social consciousness within the role of your career. So I think things like corporate social responsibility is likely to be a really hot topic. And anything that you're leading on in your job, whatever your job is, if you're leading on it in a way that is assisting the community, but also not forgetting individual effort, that's the recipe for your elevation over this next 18 months. So I hope this is interesting. I do think you're going to transform yourself. I do think you're going to come into power. And I also think you need to be ready for that. In particular, ready before that North Node conjunction Pluto comes in May of next year. So if I was in your shoes right now, I think what I might do is, first of all, work out where I am in my career and where I want to be, and then start to think about, okay, what does a leader look like? And anywhere where I'm not a complete leader, I would go and get those skills and get them fast, or talk to other leaders, like learn from others. There's so much opportunity for education these days, so you don't have to get it in a traditional mentorship way. You know, we can learn in secret if we have to, or learn at home even if the mood takes you. So I'm going to leave that there. Lots of love to you. If you would like me to examine where the nodes are right now for you, and how that might affect you at a more bespoke level, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. You can book directly into my Calendly. Or if you'd like to start to have some fun with astrology on a daily basis, 5 minutes a day, then come and join my community. All will be revealed real soon. It's free, by the way, but it's a 5 minute a day challenge. So maybe I'll see you there. Lots of love. Bye for now. Hey there, Gemini. This is a forecast for you to examine how the movement of the nodes, the North Node and the South Node, are likely to affect you within the scope of your birth chart. So I've got a base model here. This is based on a whole sign Western tropical chart. And with that as a model, I can see that the North Node has gone into your 9th house and the South Node has gone into your 3rd house. And I can also see that you've got Pluto, who's been here quite a while already, in your 9th house, and you've recently got Jupiter coming into your 3rd house. These two planets are going to have so much more power than we realize, because they are going to make conjunctions with each of the nodes during this 18-month transit through Aquarius and Leo. So as part of this forecast, I'm going to explain what I think this means to you. And how you can maybe use this information to your advantage. So first of all, let's have a look at the North Node in Aquarius. Oh, and if you want to know much more information about the North Node in general, not just across these houses, go to my part 1, which was released yesterday, and that should give you some help. So anyway, the North Node in Aquarius it's all about moving in a way towards communities, towards supporting people, supporting the collective, supporting collective endeavors. One of the difficulties with the energy of Aquarius, especially seeing as we've got Pluto already in Aquarius, and we've recently had Saturn and Jupiter since COVID, we've had Saturn and Jupiter in a conjunction. They've both gone through it. Then Pluto came in, now the North Node. So a lot of energy, lots of slow moving, strong energy in the ninth house in the sign of Aquarius for you. And that's brought up, I would say, a theme, an underlying theme of moral superiority in the world, where it can be argued that this has to happen because of this. And so it's going to be interesting, because where is this moral superiority potentially arriving in your life? And that's in the ninth house of belief systems and philosophies and spirituality, and the idea of travel, or the idea of being anywhere but here. The ninth house is a place where we're learning, and the North Node here is encouraging you to learn more and more. In fact, it's encouraging you to learn more about politics, more about religion, more about spirituality, more about the world, more about languages, more about people in general. It's asking you to be as open-minded as possible. But it's also warning, I think, against becoming morally superior because of what you know. That's quite a challenge, isn't it? Because, and I recognize this myself because I've been this person. Have you ever seen, like, I don't know what your special subject is, or what your special knowledge is, but you know, when you've just trained up in something. I remember when I trained up in NLP, and was like, I got my certificate and I was let loose on the world. And you know, that thought that you've just learned something. And what I've noticed is, you know, people, I said this, oh, look, I'm an expert here. And look, I'm going to do this and I'm going to help you. I can do this. I can help you. I can do this. I can help you. And it's really compelling. And so the ninth house, I really see, especially with the North Node in Aquarius that wants to help everyone. It's almost like there's this knowledge that has to be shared. It's almost like not waiting to find out if people want it or not, or if not waiting to find out if people want your opinion or not. And so what I see is the challenge here, because the North Node is always showing us where we're growing and evolving, but also where we will get challenged, is how can you stand with the knowledge, the new skills, the new experience and context that you've got for the world, for culture, for religion, for politics, for spirituality. How can you hold that new position and enjoy it and explore it without imposing it on other people? And that is a huge issue, because from May next year, your levels of influence are likely to go like really high. And the ninth house is a place where we naturally want to teach, we naturally want to share, where we naturally want to design something and broadcast. You know, it's a broadcaster, influencers, content creators' dream, a writer's dream, a filmmaker's dream. You know, this is the place where you think, wow, I've got this new vision. I can absolutely put this into the world right now. So my advice, for what it's worth, and this is just the first bit, because I'm going to come down here in a second, and I think there's going to be some little beauties down here, is right now you're encouraged to learn as much as you can. And by May of next year, I think it's going to feel like people want your advice, and you could be ready to give some great advice, or share things, or write, or have influence and be sought out because of your wise context. And when this happens, when the North Node makes a conjunction to Pluto in your ninth house, North Node and Pluto, they don't come around that often together. You know, this is a very rare thing, and it's going on for 10 months. This can be really transformational, but it can also show where you become a certainty, like, you know, where the information that you're delivering becomes certain. Or you might find, if you're in a learning environment around that time, that you find teachers that are, this is it, this is the law, this is how it is, no question. And so this could be quite a bumpy path, but it could also be helpful. So if, for instance, you're using this time to learn and to enjoy learning and to seek out the best teachers you can, and you're learning with the intention that it might go further, that it might help you to move around the world, that it might help you to transform your career, have it in mind that May is a time when your influence can really skyrocket, and maybe look at things that can help you talk with influence and discernment, but not with certainty, not with too much power, because you, like, according to how you release that information, that will determine whether you sink or swim. And when Pluto comes into any part of our chart in a strong way, i.e. in a conjunction with the North Node, it's time when Pluto's lessons become the toughest. He can absolutely bring out the inner tyrant in every one of us, as I've experienced myself. And he can also bring out the best, wisest communicator and healer. So I see that you could be transformed into somebody very, very passionate and very somebody that people want to listen to, somebody who's very magnetic. So you might choose to look at how you can be more magnetic over the next few months. I think that could be quite helpful. Now, if we look at the other side, and this is the side that believes it's special, like Jupiter in Leo, I'm special. South Node in Leo, ooh, I feel really special. The Leo energy is about specialness for sure. And it's about warmth, and it's very gregarious, and it's really heavily featured in your third house. Now, the South Node shows us what we can let go of, like where we don't need to try so hard because we've already learnt those lessons. And so it's showing you actually you've got a lot of support from people around you. Even if you are all la-di-da up here, becoming really a man of the world or a woman of the world and learning things outside of where you grew up, the people there still really accept you, you know. So my advice is, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's really easy to say, oh, look where I come from. So parochial. Oh, I want to be up here where it's really exciting and open-minded. So the South Node is showing you what you've already learned. You've already built trust with people around you. You've already shown yourself in a beautiful light in the community around you. And you do actually have quite a voice. So another thing that you might find helpful as you're integrating all of these energies is that your learning could be applied in your local community. That you could learn to implement and integrate what you're learning far out away with the people that you love the most. And of course, again, the big challenge is often people don't want to be told what to do. They want to be invited. So it's like, how do you know the right time? I don't know. But the third house can be where local action takes place. It can be where you set up some kind of local group or local community. It's where people meet heart to heart, face to face, and they talk in real life. And so actually, I see the real beautiful balance point is that you might start practicing your new skill set at a local level, and enjoy the uplift that you'll get from that. Like knowing that people find you wise and confident, it's really, really helpful. Again, because the South Node is also like showing us what we release. It's encouraging us to release the negative sides of Jupiter and Leo in the third, which is that sort of ego within the community, the pride, the inflation. So if I was to put this into maybe a nutshell or one sentence, I think you're learning to be powerful with information, information that not everybody has privy to, like access to, that not everyone can understand. You're learning how to play with information and make it accessible for people. And if the North Node in Aquarius gets distorted, you could sound like you're morally superior. Or you might end up making yourself special in the same process. But the best way through this is to be able to create a community that honors individuals, or be part of a community that is honoring everyone's experience, or that you become an individual that is contributing to communities, like you become a guest speaker to other communities. You become the person who knows this, and this. So you are meant to be transforming in this space. I see you as a powerful communicator, someone with a different perspective. And let's face it, we all need a new perspective. So I think this is quite a good journey for you. My last thoughts is, if you would like to actually look with me at your chart, and me talk you through some other things, because obviously that's just 2 planets, and I haven't even looked at your chart. So if you'd like to look personally, then just get in touch. Just go to my Calendly link below. Or if you'd like to learn to go deeper with your own astrological practice, I'm setting something up new. It's 5 minutes a day. It should be fun. It should be helping you to grow your ideas on yourself. It's free. It's within my community. If you're curious enough and you think 5 minutes a day, yeah, I'm up for that challenge, then just join my free community on the school platform. Again, the address is below and we can take it from there. Lots of love to you. Bye for now. Hey there, Cancer. This is a forecast for you, taking you through the next 18 months up until March 2028, as the North Node goes through the sign of Aquarius and the South Node goes through the sign of Leo. Now, what is that going to mean to you as they go through the 8th and the 2nd house, respectively? Now, they're also going to come up into a conjunction. The South Node is going to be in a conjunction with Jupiter for 8.5 months between October and June. So it's October this year. And then the North Node is going to make a conjunction with Pluto, and he's going to be in that, it's going to be in that conjunction from May 2027 until the North Node goes into Capricorn. So these are 2 very rare, unusual aspects that don't often come up. And they're working in opposite houses, in opposite signs, and they're pretty heavy players. So what does this all mean? That's what I'm going to explore. So the first thing to talk about is the nodal shift, from having been across the 3rd and the 9th into the 2nd and the 8th. So where you've just been worked on, I would say, with the North Node is in terms of your view of the world. Like, how much do you know? What do you know about politics, religion, spirituality, the world? Most likely you felt the need to travel quite a bit and to move outside of your local environment. It's often a time when we get really itchy feet and we have to move, like life feels too small for us and we are looking for something much bigger. Similarly, like, you might realize that you've really done local information, you know what it's about, and maybe you felt a little bit bored. Now we're coming into a time, or now you're coming into a time when you're starting to understand the deeper energies to do with value. I guess that's a natural consequence of having had your view of the world really expanded and kind of cracked open, busted open by the North Node going in the 9th house. Now it's in the 8th. The North Node is bringing up any relationship material that hasn't healed, needs to heal, anywhere where other people's views of you have affected you. And in particular, since childhood, ideas about owning things with people and collective resources between you, all of that's going to be the hot topic. Now, it's interesting that you would have the 8th house in the sign of Aquarius, because Aquarius is very much about sharing everything, and the 8th house is, where we sometimes struggle sharing things with other people. The 8th house is a place where any trust issues that you've got in terms of sharing your world with people, being seen and being appreciated, these kinds of issues are going to come up. Now, I can share something very personal. I've seen my husband go through this, actually, because he's just had the North Node go through his 8th house. And during that time, I've seen him learn so much about his past and how anyone that doesn't appreciate him for exactly who he is, they're not necessary in his life so much anymore. He's made very strong decisions. And so he might have experience where people have rejected him, and he's been able to see patterns of rejection, but also his own sense of self-worth and value have increased. So it's been really giving him a workout in terms of values, and also in terms of the attitudes that he has had to owning property together, and things like that. And again, it comes from trust. Ultimately, I think this 8th house movement for you of the North Node is to develop a greater level of trust in the people in your life, even if there has been pain, and to develop an energy of discernment about it. Now, you won't be a stranger to these kinds of energies because Pluto has been going through your 8th house for a while now. And Pluto on its own going through the 8th house is going to rake up any of the old sediment of emotional betrayal, emotional upset, guilt, shame, blame, and anger that has like settled in the lake of your understanding of yourself. You know, like Pluto has kind of raked up that mud. So this is fresh, you know, it's fresh to go into. The North Node coming in here is going to be a lot more poignant than it has been at other times. Like in 2007, for instance, the North Node would not have raked up quite so much, but because you've got Pluto here now, boy, is that like bringing up stuff to be looked at. Now, similarly, the South Node has been going through the 3rd house, which has really shown where you've just done and dusted being like knowing your community. You've done and dusted it. Like you understand the community now. You have played well. You've played your part well. But now it's time to recognize if you put all of your time in the local community, you're not going to have time to appreciate yourself. South Node coming into the 2nd house is asking you, what's really good about you? Like, when have you been brilliant? When have you really been appreciative of yourself? When have you had so much self-love and confidence? Because that is to keep. Like, there's no need in throwing that away. That would be silly. But it's also asking, when have you had times when you've been so full of yourself that it's gone wrong? When have you been kind of falsely inflated? And of course, this time around with Jupiter in the 2nd house, this is also going to help you see that and experience how people can get inflated, how we can inflate ourselves, but also how we can grow in wisdom and confidence. And I would say that is the ultimate non-distorted way of working with the South Node in this house. Ultimately, the nodes are asking you to develop your own self-confidence, but don't just be focused on that. It's important that in your confidence, you can learn to trust other people, because the more you learn to trust other people, the more you'll be able to share your resources together, the more you'll be able to contribute to each other's lives. But if you stay in this place of, oh my God, other people are so difficult, I don't like sharing things with people because I can't trust people, I also feel put down by people, then you'll just be stuck in this part of the chart, which is about boosting yourself up. And, you know, Jupiter in the 2nd house really does sort of help to increase confidence, but you're missing a trick if you stay there. So ultimately, it's asking, how can you develop trust for yourself and trust that you can handle things, and trust that no matter what comes up with other people, in particular old karmic people like family, siblings, you know, ancient stories about families, ancient ideas about grief and shame and blame and embarrassment and resentment, all of that stuff. How can you trust yourself and others that you can get past this, that you can get through this? And by the end of this 18 months, you might realize that there are some people that you can do stuff with. And sometimes I think the hardest learning is you can only do as much as people will contribute to that with you. And if people don't want to look at it, there's nothing you can do. You can't manipulate people to suddenly get your idea. And I say manipulate because Pluto here can show where we get really manipulated by the people's versions of us, or where you seek to manipulate and use your power to kind of force people to open up and force people to evolve. It's not your role to do that, though it might feel like it. It would make it easier, wouldn't it, if the people who you're collaborating with in your life, like your family, you know, if you could somehow influence them, it would be easy, but that's not your role. Now, I say that because when the North Node and Pluto come together, they're going to be so strong and so idealistic in the in the sign of Aquarius. You know, idealistic that there could be a way that the family could live together and make everything work. You know, that could absolutely show up. And yet the idealism is likely to be the thing that puts people off. So this is asking, how can you contribute to the family and the family wealth and the family health? And also, how can they help to honor you? And you can only do as much as is possible. And you might just decide, do you know what? I'm going to individually contribute to my own family or my new family or the scenario that brings me the greatest level of trust and sharing, the greatest heart opening. Really, what I see, this is a heart opening for yourself and others. And so it's interesting. Some of the difficulties with the North Node in Aquarius, and I mentioned this in part 1, which I released on the 16th of August, the North Node in Aquarius can get very superior about itself. And so you might find like your family and the people that I'm maybe talking about that you might share with, you know, they might be really superior about who they are and what it is to be a member of that family, or what it is to be in line for an inheritance, or what it is, you know, it might be that it feels like you have to give over something to be around them or to collaborate with them. You know, working with people that feel morally superior to you can be really difficult to work with. And so that's one of the tricky things with the North Node. It's also a warning to not become morally superior to them, because that moral superiority is a separation. It's something that works against the coming together of you both and the trusting of each other. You can't trust people that, you know, look down on you. It's really hard, isn't it? And if you look down on people, they know it. They feel it. I know there have been people that I've felt morally superior to. I hate to say that. I think we can all admit that we've done that from time to time, you know, and of course they don't trust you. They feel it. Everyone feels it. Yeah, and with Jupiter and the South Node in sign of Leo, one of the difficulties with it is you might develop yourself so much that you become egoic and full of pride and not want to back down. Again, the North and South Node are pulling you apart and pulling you to the extremes of ego inflation and moral superiority on each side, both as bad as each other. So this is really encouraging you to come to the midpoint, come into a way where you can honor each other, and contribute to each other's well-being, and slowly but surely develop trust. And the painful learning, which sometimes comes up with the North Node, is sometimes there is no working with people. Sometimes people aren't ready to shift, flex, open, share. Sometimes it's all on their terms. And, you know, when you're faced with that, you may well be making big decisions as to, okay, well, that's your choice. Now there's the consequences of those choices. So this is not an easy position, but I do think, you know, one of the great outcomes of this position is you may know where you stand come March 2028. And because you know where you stand, you might have a lot more confidence. You know, the working out of that, I think, is going to really bring you some deep wisdom and a deepening relief and a newfound self-love. So I'm going to leave that there, Cancer. I hope that's helpful to you in this journey. If you would like me to look at your chart with you, then just invite me to work with you. My details are below. Just use my Calendly link to book a session, and we can take it from there. Also, very soon, in fact, next week, I am going to be launching a 5-minute astrology challenge every Monday to Friday, which I think is going to help people learn about themselves and each other at a much funkier and quick and easy and interesting level. So if you want to be part of this, just join my free community on the school platform. It's completely free. It's just to celebrate astrology, to learn from scratch, or to deepen what you already know using different tools, and we'll take it from there. So maybe see you there, who knows, but have a great time. Lots of love. Bye for now. Hey there, Leo. This is for you if you've got Leo rising or ascendant, if that's what you call it, or if you've got Leo sun, you might also find this helpful. Now, this is to This is a big one. This is to explain the next 18 months through the nodes that's likely to happen for you. We've got the North node that's just gone into the 7th. We've got the South node that's just gone into the 1st. And bless you, over the last 18 months, you've had the North node going through your 8th house and the South node going through your 2nd house. I just want to acknowledge you because with the North node having just gone through the 8th house, you've got to, I think, really understand your value according to other people in your life. There will be some people that you've brought closer to you and been able to share your world with a lot more, and that will have felt absolutely beautiful. And there may well also be people in your life that you've just thought, do you know what, I'm not leaning against an open door here. They are really hard. They don't want to work with me. And it's almost been a time of closing the door on some people and just saying, look, I get it. We can't quite work this out. And so it's been a time of discernment. You know, the 2nd and the 8th have been calling you into trusting yourself more and your contributions, and to see if you can play and trust other people a lot more, you know, in particular your family, your ancient family, your birth family, people that you might all be about to inherit with. All of those issues about supporting each other. If somebody's not interested and refuses to work with you, there's nothing you can do. And that's hard learning, really hard learning. So hopefully right now, where you are with the North node going through the 7th and the South node going through the 1st, with this new found confidence in yourself and recognizing there are some battles you can win and some that you maybe should never have been in, you're now at one of the most important nodal points. And this happens every 18 years. Now, right now, with the North node just entering into the 7th house, your focus is on better relationships. You know, the North node here is asking you to resolve anything that's out of place with your intimate relationship. You know, if there are patterns that have persisted, patterns that haven't been healed, in particular, if you're in a relationship that has started since the last one, no doubt they are paying the price of the previous cycle, you know, where you learned so much, but maybe didn't like heal something. This is your chance to heal that relationship issue again. And it's interesting because it kind of goes off the back of the previous nodal position, which was asking you to trust the people around you and to get to the deepening of it. Now you can clearly see the games that other people have been playing with you and also the games you've been playing with them. Now you're coming into a time where you're wanting to have a much more open, respectful, imaginative, individual relationship with someone. I say individual because it's in the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius really wants it to be original. It doesn't want your relationship to be copied and pasted like a sort of photocopying exercise. It's like, how can you enjoy what is unique and beautiful about your relationship? And how can you contribute to that? Because in yesterday's part 1 about the North node in Aquarius, which I released on the 16th of August, I was talking about the dangers of the North node in Aquarius versus the South node in Leo. The South node in Leo and Jupiter in Leo were very much saying, I'm special. And the North node in Aquarius, and including Pluto in Aquarius, is saying, we're morally superior, we're morally right. And so how do you balance that? It's going to be interesting. Now, during this 18-month challenge, the South node and Jupiter are going to be in a conjunction for 8.5 months, starting around October 2026, leading up until June 2027. This only happens every 6 to 8 years. And then there's also the North node in a conjunction to Pluto from May 2027 until March 2028. This is where the rubber's going to hit the road in terms of your relationships. I mean, this is an energy that's happening for 10 months from start to finish. And it only happens, well, it happens infrequently, really, like every 16, 17 years. So you might experience this energy 3 or 4 times in your life if you're lucky. So these particular times are going to be very, very strong. And because the first house is about you, your vitality, your image, how you come across, your body, your immediate health and vitality, your expression of who you are versus everything that's not who you are. It's like your partner. These are the most important things. So here's what I see happening is with Pluto in the 7th, you now have a very strong idea of when people are manipulating you. Pluto shows strong partners. Now, your partner may not have changed. You may have had your partner since Pluto was, in the 6th house or the 5th house. They haven't changed, but they now appear a lot stronger than they have been in a long time. This has been coming up for a while. And so one of the things that is likely to need healing during this time with the North Node going through the 7th house is, how do you work with your partner when it feels like your partner is morally superior or stronger or more powerful or has more influence or maybe has a stronger career or maybe earns more money? All of those inequalities could very much bring up some rancor. Now, is that their fault? Probably not. And actually, I always think the 7th house is teaching us what we need to learn. So if you were to approach what's going on in your relationships as it comes up, that they are showing you how you can be powerful. Any powerful people that you have really closely in your life, they are there to show you where you have power that maybe you're not using right now, which is why that you find them so effing annoying. So it's not their fault necessarily. Now, if they are trying to control you or manipulate you, that's a very different thing. But be very cautious where you describe their brilliance as them being imposing or that they are trying to manipulate you. You might just find that if you're playing the game of they're powerful and I'm weak, which takes two people to be able to play that game, if you're playing that game with them and then they stand in power and then you blame them for it, that's going to be very difficult. So this North Node is going to be exploring moral superiority in your relationships, and you have a part to play in this. Now, the South Node in Leo is showing where you're strong yourself and where you have very strong charisma. Jupiter in the 1st house is showing that your energies are building this year. They're really getting strong. And that sense of self, that sense of your direction is growing, which is fantastic. Now, Leo is a lot more playful and a lot more expressive than Aquarius is. And so you might find that you end up playing the fool or playing the court jester or being like not being as powerful as you can because you're uncomfortable with power. And so you're playing with kind of irreverence or playing nonchalance, like, being brilliant but not caring. Again, this is going to bring you into trouble with your partners because by default, they're going to look like they're the megalomaniac, and they're not. They're just being themselves, but you're kind of duping. So this is asking you to stand with your rightful confidence, use your rightful confidence. It's also saying, let go of ego and pride and inflation. That's not for this. This will cause an unholy battle between you and your partners where you see them as adversaries as opposed to loved ones. But this is encouraging you to stand in your power and not be afraid of being powerful. Like if you've been burnt from being powerful before, if someone's taken a piss out of you or taken a massive swing at you because you've seen larger than life and other people don't like it, that's their problem. And that would have been hurtful. So the South Node is bringing up anything to do with the past, about your ego, about your image that maybe has worked and also hasn't worked. I mean, as you can see, this North Nodal position and South Nodal position is going to bring up a hell of a lot for you in terms of who you are and where you're going versus people in your life that appear to be very strong and appear to be doing well. And the truth probably is they probably feel very vulnerable. They probably don't feel that strong. They probably get peevish if you're putting strength on them. So there's a lot going on. What I see here is really strong projection. So here's my suggestion for what it's worth. That is, recognize anywhere where you're blowing smoke up somebody's arse and showing them how strong they are. Recognize they're just showing you the strength that you're not claiming yourself, or you're cheating yourself out of. Anywhere where somebody is actually putting you down, because Plutos can be bullies sometimes. So, if your partner is becoming a bully, then there is something to deal with. Again, because the 7th house is all about projections and mirrors, you might ask yourself, where have I allowed bullying in before, or where haven't I dealt with bullying? It's not to say it's all on you, by the way, but I always think whatever's going on, still inquire and find out, where have I met this before? Where have I met this picture before? Where have I been bullied before? Where have I been like squashed and crushed before? Because anywhere where you haven't dealt with that, it's like there's this empty hook. And if your partner just happens to come along and just like hook on to you, like they become that new person. So, this is okay. Here's another way of looking at it. The North Node and South Node have to work together. So if all the blame is going on here or on here, then the relationship isn't working. My comments from part 1 was communities that honor individuals and individuals that contribute to communities. That's when the North Node and South Node across those signs are working together. So let's put it into relationship speak. Relationships that honor individuals and individuals that contribute to relationships. This is what is here to be explored in this next 18 months. My final thoughts on this is you might also see how your relationship could help the collective. Like if you are creating a conscious relationship where you have looked into the things that have not worked, where you've looked into things of superiority, of power games, manipulation, if you've looked at it and been honest with yourself and with them, if you've been open to conversations with people, this can be really, really powerful. But you could also be seeding the collective with the energy of fantastic relationships. Similarly, as you learn to take your power, you'll come into a natural wisdom and confidence. And the South Node and Jupiter in the 1st house absolutely is offering you that. So I think this could be very magical, in fact. And I think this could set you on a whole new path of sacred relationship. And just a final thing that I want to say, just because, if you're not in a relationship right now and looking for a relationship, I went down this route of, you and your partners. And actually, you might find that your partners are your best friends, the people that you spend the most time with, the people that you count on. Your partners might be the people that you're working with really, really closely. The 7th house can show up a lot of potential partners. Your partners can also be the people that you absolutely hate, like known enemies, because most likely the things that brought you into each other's lives are now the things that kind of keep you away from each other. So yeah, whilst this is about partnership, it's not to be read as just partners. It's like all close partners, the people that you are committed to feeling something with, whether it's friendship, enmity, love, respect, and building a life together. These are all your conscious collaborators that you've chosen to be with. So yeah, I think that kind of holds that in place. If you would like some help in unpacking this in your own chart, then why not invite me to work with you? My details are below. Just click on my Calendly link and we can sort something out. But from next week, next Monday, I can't remember what date that is, in the early 20s. I don't know, Monday something in August, I'm going to be starting a new 5-minute a day challenge to help people learn astrology. So whether you're new to astrology or if you're seasoned in astrology, but you want to go deeper, this is just a 5-minute challenge every day. which I think is going to really help and build knowledge and build a sense that you can learn more about yourself in just 5 minutes a day, and it will compound very quickly. So if you're interested in that, it's Monday to Friday. It's going to be in my school community. It's free to join, completely free to experience. If that's of interest, then just get in touch. So anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Lots of love to you, and catch up with you real soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Virgo. So this is a forecast for you, taking you on a nodal journey over the next 18 months. So right now, the North Node has just gone into the 6th house, and the South Node has just gone into your 12th house, and they're going to be there until March 2028. And during that time, the North Node is going to go into a 10-month conjunction with Pluto from May 2027 until March 2028. And the South Node will go into a 8.5-month conjunction with Jupiter starting around October 2026. So not long, actually. All of these energies are going to be pulling you between the 6th house and the 12th house. And it's interesting because Virgo is the 6th sign of the zodiac and has some appreciation of what the 6th house is about. So in many ways, the North Node going into your 6th house, you'll really understand. However, the nodes work in oppositions, and as such, we feel both of them at the same time. We feel the pull into the North Node direction. It's showing us where we're meant to be evolving, and yet the South Node is bringing up all these kinds of reasons of things that feel easy, much easier. And so, yeah, this is going to be interesting. Now, before I really get into this, I want to say you've already been through quite a shift. In the last 18 months, you've had the North Node going through the 7th house and the South Node going through the 1st house. To me, that often brings in such a shift in how you are in relationships. Whether you've been in a relationship or not, it will have shifted how you feel about people, and also shifted about how you feel about yourself. Maybe you've learned to remember the good things about yourself whilst also recognizing that there are things that you see in people around you that actually are showing you where you could be more like them. Like maybe you see power or creativity in the people around you and you think, oh, maybe I'm meant to be like that. And so it gives you a chance to, I don't know if you remember, there were these like dressing up dolls, and they weren't actually dolls. They were like cutouts. I grew up from the mid 70s, so, and into the early 80s. So we used to have these like cutout dolls, these like little bits of card, and we would have these outfits that we would put on, and they had little tabs, and we'd push them. I don't know what they're called. They're lovely. I managed to find some old ones to give to my daughter because I just thought they were really cool, and she made her own. I love that. Anyway, the people in our lives have been giving us a blueprint for trying things on for size to see what's gone on. So most likely, Virgo, you've gone through a hell of a lot of shifts because you've been trying new things out and remembering what has worked. So I commend you on that. And you might think that it's time for a bit of a rest. And I'm here to tell you, or share with you, I don't like to tell, but I'm here to share with you that actually it might not feel like rest, because the North Node is now going into the busiest part of your chart, which is the 6th house, which tells you all about your habits, all about your work, all about your health, all about your money management, managing the family if you have a family. It's a lot to deal with. And at the same time, the 12th house South Node is actually calling out for some rest, some R&R, some real relaxation. And it's saying to you, oh my God, let's just let go of this. Oh my God, life was simpler when I did this, and this, whatever it is. It's taking you into the realm of memories. So here's how we're going to maybe balance this out, because they're going to pull you in different directions. Ultimately, the North Node is really showing us where forwards is, and that's here in the 6th house. But it's not without the other hand. Like, you know, we have a left and a right hand. We need both of our hands to sort of integrate all of our experiences. So like, how can you make the South Node in Leo in the 12th work for you? So I'm going to start here. So the South Node is showing you where you can relax, where you can be on your own, where you can go into retreat, where you can be quiet, where you can be calm, sometimes where you can be depressed, where you can experience like drifting away. It can show where you meditate, do yoga, do kind of spiritual healing. It can also show where you're intuitive, where you don't want to be tied up in routines and structures and schedules. It really shows where you can absolutely kind of take your foot off the gas, actually get out the car, park up and walk a mile away and just sit down under a tree. You know, the 12th house is, oh my God, I need some rest because my mind is overworked and I've got to rest. You know, the 12th house, if we don't look after ourselves, we end up in the 12th house. Like the 12th house also represents hospitals, you know, so if we're not choosing to retreat, we might end up like actually convalescing. So the 12th house shows us where we make ourselves mad or where we need to relax. And, you know, the South Node here is teaching you that have been times when you've done it well. In particular, it's coming into a conjunction with Jupiter. Now, I should just say, Jupiter, that makes things bigger, is emphasizing and blowing up and inflating everything to do with your unconscious mind, which if your unconscious mind is full of lovely things, like beautiful thoughts about yourself, if you've got beautiful programs about who you are running in your consciousness, then this is going to be great because Jupiter is just going to inflate all of them and help you feel better and better and better. If, however, like most of us, you've got some really shitty thoughts about yourself that you play over and over again, like, oh, I'm never going to amount to anything. I don't mean to say it with a smile on my face. I'm saying it because, you know, maybe I felt that myself, you know, it's never going to work. I'm doomed. You know, this pattern's going to keep repeating. And it's funny I say that because the nodes are all about repeating patterns. So, and if you are thinking that, then yeah, you're right on the money there. You know, Jupiter here he's amplifying what is in your mind and your attitudes to relaxing a little bit and letting the world around you dissolve and realizing it's not going to all fall away. It's not going to collapse if you don't participate. And so Jupiter, I think, is emphasizing the need for you to relax. So the South Node here, if it's being really helpful, could encourage you to do something nice and nurturing and ennobling and enabling, you know. So like, how could you journal? How could you talk in small communities about feelings and unpack things? How can you start to work with your unconscious mind to release some of the old stuff and free yourself up so you're feeling relief? You know, South Node and Jupiter in here could feel like relief. Could you imagine what feeling relief would feel like all the time? Like you get up and you think, oh, I feel even better than yesterday. Oh my God, that's a relief, you know? So there's a real positive outcome for these here. And in the memory of how you've managed this place before, you might realize where you've used Jupiter to emphasize getting out of your head, partying to forget yourself. Like the 12th house is the house that people forget, you know, like where we play up and those parts of ourselves that we would like to relegate to the attic or the cellar, you know, like those old parts of ourselves that we hope never come out of the closet, you know, like those skeletons. So, you know, we might also remember the bad times when we look back and we think, oh God, I wish that wasn't part of my history, but it is. So you're on a bit of a journey, and throughout this 18 months, I absolutely recommend that you make love, feel free, that you make peace with all the different parts of you, even the ones that you haven't liked, even the ones that really hurt. Just make love and peace with those parts of yourself. Because the South Node and Jupiter are going to do that. And that should help you feel into wisdom and confidence, which Jupiter and the South Node in Leo absolutely are there to do. It can also help you release those egoic, pride-based, inflated episodes in your life that maybe didn't work out so well. Now, this is where we're getting to the North Node. So the North Node is there to show you where there's lessons to be learned about your daily routine, about your habits, about your expectations, about how you manage your money, how you manage your health. Health's an important one, I would say. So you might find that things come up that mess up your daily schedule, and it might feel like life is working against you, but I would actually say more likely, if you're not actively reviewing all of your habits, all of your schedules, then I think other things come in to bring it to your attention. It's a bit like how some people, and by some people, I'm there, and I'm not a doctor at all, but I think symptoms are actually there to show us where there's something going on that we're not dealing with, and they could be physical symptoms and illnesses. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. This is just my own homespun Sagittarius, moon in Pisces, Scorpio rising kind of shit that I'm doing here. But, I think sometimes we don't pay attention to our body. We don't pay attention to our emotions and our feelings and our past. And so in the end, something needs to come in to wake us up. So an alarm goes off and we go, oh my God, where did I go there? I just wasn't paying attention. So if you're not actively looking at your schedule and how you're living your life and how you're managing your health, how you're managing your money, you might find other things come in to go, like I was going to make a noise then I realized I can't do impressions. So I can't even do a siren. So you might hear some internal siren go off where it's like, oh my God, something's trying to get my attention. And so that could be, if you're being resistant with this process, you might find some idiot comes into your life and completely messes up your schedule, or something changes and all of a sudden your schedule has to just fall away by the wayside. This is where I would give you some, again, I'm not a doctor, but I would take much better care of your health in this year ahead, especially seeing as you've got Virgo rising, which absolutely I think is looking for a nutritional balance and a beautiful kind of wholesome, healed, whole foodie, maybe natural feeling. Like, what natural things could you do to feel great about yourself? I think that could be quite helpful. And given that you've got it in the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius is quite technological and could involve the internet or clever technology, you might find there's a lot of diagnosis things going on. So you might get, again, I'm not giving you advice, but you might find a helpful, what's the word? A particular kind of doctor that works with you, like looks at tests and things to help find, maybe where you're down on this and up on that, to really work with your health in a helpful way. And similarly, you might find that you need to work with your money in a helpful way, bring in new systems, because the North Node here is showing you're going to need some kind of new system. However you've been doing your life so far, it's time for a bit of a rejig. Now, when the North Node and Pluto come in together, this is interesting because you've had Pluto going through this for a while, and on the health or money discussion, I would say what has changed in the last 18 months to do with your health and money with Pluto coming in, because Pluto sometimes shows where we need to let something go. Like, which ideas have you held on to so strong and you're saying, no, this is my limit. I'm not backing down on this. When we hear ourselves say that and Pluto's in something like the 6th house, it's like, okay, you might need to look beyond that line where you say, no, nothing. This is my line. This is where I am. Because Pluto dares you. If you say things like that, it's like daring Pluto to kick your ass. So anywhere where you've got a resistance to change, it's worth looking at, especially as the North Node and Pluto come together. And this is, you're my 5th sign I'm looking at, 6th sign I'm looking at today. And I haven't warned anyone as much as this one. Again, I know this is feel good astrology, but I don't want to leave you wide open when the North Node is coming through your 6th house and connecting with Pluto. So watch where you are completely resistant to change. And as that conjunction comes in, watch where it feels like someone's pushing or imposing a new view on how you run your life, or where you're trying to hold it together so much, because this is just showing This is here to show where you're transforming your life. It's not where you're holding your life still. Pluto and the North Node here are here to transform, to move it. And I know that must be hard because like Virgos like to be organized as a general rule, and they're very good at it. They don't need to be told how to do it. They don't need to learn that. They're naturally good at things like that. And yet there might be an even better way that you haven't considered. So, yeah, I think this is interesting. Now, something else, I mean, North Node conjunct Pluto is really showing how your actions are transforming the collective. But, you know, let's take it down a notch. You know, how can your actions transform your home? How can your actions transform your life? How can you not feel so tightly wound so that you can relax a little bit, which is what the South Node and Jupiter are asking for you. So, you know, and this was my statement for the overall video that I released yesterday. Communities honor individuals, individuals that contribute to communities. How about a life that honors you and you contributing to your life? This is like getting them in balance. So I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. I hope that's helpful for you to understand these nodal patterns. Congratulations on getting through that previous one, by the way. If I can help you unpack your chart a little bit more and you'd like that, then just get in touch. Look at the Calendly link below and you can just book directly into my diary. Or if you're ready and you want to explore astrology 5 minutes a day, whether you're completely new to astrology or you know a bit or you're really an expert, I'm challenging and inviting people to consider astrology just for 5 minutes a day. We're going to start off real simple. You don't need any qualifications to do it. But I think we can go on a journey of understanding ourselves from a new perspective at a deeper level. And I think it's going to be a great practice. That might be something that could be good in your new North Node schedule. If that sounds like something you're curious about, then come and join me for free in my community on the school platform. Again, the details are below. This is new and I think it's going to be exciting. I don't know where it's going to go, but I have confidence it's going to go somewhere good. But it's free. And it's for us to actually contribute to communities like the astrological community. This is for us to learn. So if that's of interest, then just get in touch. So anyway, have a beautiful nodal transit. Take care and hopefully catch up with you soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Libra. This is a forecast for you, taking you on a journey of the North and South Node, going through Aquarius, that's the North Node, and the South Node in Leo over the next 18 months. That's taking us until March 2028. So what is coming up for you during those times? Well, I want to start, first of all, by I think acknowledging that where the nodes have just come from have probably tested you quite a lot. So you've had the North Node going through the 6th house over the last 18 months. Sorry, I've got a cat meowing in the background. And when it went through the 18 months in the 6th house, that would have brought up lots of things that you were learning in terms of your daily routine, your health, your money. It would have felt like there were lots of things to attend to, that you might have had to shift in how you have been doing those things. Also, that there are lots of things, lots of times when you remembered how well you were when you weren't so busy, you know, like this reminder of how much you just like to put your feet up and not have to stress about things that are slightly out of your control. So it would have been a very, very busy time for you. Now we're coming into a time, I think, and this is one of the most innocuous places to have the nodes, I would say, the 5th house and the 11th house. Ultimately, these two houses are about creativity, whether we're creating something for ourselves, which is the 5th house, that's where the North Node currently is, or whether we're creating things with other people, which is where the South Node is. Now, during this 18 month, we've also got Pluto, or I say we, you've got Pluto going through your 5th. which has been happening for at least 18 months already. It will have given you quite a few tests. I'll talk about these in a minute, but this is going to be quite an important part of your chart for a while, especially between May 2027 and March 2028, because the North Node and Pluto are going to be together in your 5th house, making a bit of a splash. Now, we've also got Jupiter, or you've got Jupiter in the sign of Leo in your 11th house. Now, Jupiter's a bit of a party guy, but he's also really good at giving you opportunities. And the 11th house is a place where we can collaborate. It's a place where we come together. We have a vision, where we have friends, friendships, networks. It's also a place, I think, where we can work with the laws of nature, the law of attraction, the laws of the universe. So any kind of collective visions that you've got for yourself and for humanity are going to be really strengthened by Jupiter here. I mean, this could be a time when you make some very, very strong and powerful friends who want to collaborate with you, when you meet just the right person at just the right time. Now, the South Node going through here might bring up influential people from your past into your current experience. You might get a reminder of somebody who was very powerful, or somebody who you work really well with who is now quite powerful. And so, you know, I think this is a great opportunity, actually, that you could expand because of some past connections. You know, the South Node and Jupiter, they come together every 6 to 8 years, and they're going to be coming into a conjunction between October in 26 until June 2027. So they're together for 8.5 months. So, you know, my first core bit of advice here is look out for great opportunities, you know, and don't be afraid to be in touch with people from your past, with whom you've learned with, shared with. And, you know, if you just got a good vibe and you're not sure where it's going necessarily, also friends are friends. If, you know, friends invite you to somewhere social where there might be some interesting people, go, because it's like friends are friends. It's like your whole social scene should be expanding and bringing you into communication with other people that could really help you. Now, that said, you have this really great way of collaborating with people and working with people for the good of everyone. That's definitely some part of your repertoire. But one of the things you're less known for is developing things on your own, completely from your own position. And this is where the North Node is tempting you and encouraging you to do something for yourself. Like, so it's saying, you know, like, how can you let go of the past desire to collaborate all the time? And how can you do something for yourself? So, you know, as the challenges go, that's not the biggest challenge there is. You know, this is one of the easier of the North Node positions. You know, it's encouraging you to come back into your own authority and to develop something for yourself. So if you felt yourself thinking, I've got some hobbies, I've got some things I really love and I want to become an expert at them, or I just want to indulge in them because it feels good to do that, then that's a great thing for you to do. Similarly, you know, the 5th house is about children. You know, if this is a time when you've wanted children, or you've got small children and you want to spend more time with them, anything to do with children is really highlighted. Also, I should say the 11th house represents stepchildren, or children that come into your home because of your partner, or children that you become responsible for, not strictly through your own making. So children can be a really, really huge thing, you know, from other people's children to your own children. And what I see happening right now is you've given a lot of your time to other people's children. You've given a lot of time to the children and projects, the things that you've birthed. You've given a lot of time and energy to other people's birthings. Now what's coming up for the next 18 months is how you can birth yourself. Birth more from your own desires. The 5th house is a place where we seek joy and also intimacy. If you're single, this could also show, you know, a new partner coming in. You know, it's really asking you, how can you feel into more joy? So having Pluto here right now has probably opened up some of those channels already. I mean, Pluto's also I want to say romance planet he's not. He's a sexual planet and a power planet. So most likely, if you're single but looking for an important person in your life, there could be some very intense sexual encounters coming in, especially with the North Node coming in. So this could be a very, very powerful time to create something, to create a relationship, to enjoy some beautiful sensuality, to go deep. So my question to you is, what do you really want to develop in a deep way for yourself? Like, what have you been yearning to do? Especially seeing as the North Node has just been here before, which was really stressful and really making you busy and like working on your schedule. Now it really is time for you to give yourself some of that time, you know, really look after yourself. Now, one of the problems with the North Node in Aquarius is the energy of moral superiority. Now, that doesn't necessarily come out so much in the 5th house, but you might find that your own projects, you know, one of the good things about it is you might feel like you're developing yourself in a great way. The other side of it is if it gets out of, this is how you know if your North Node energy is getting distorted, is if the stuff you start producing or start enjoying, if it starts to make you feel superior, that's a real indication that the North Node in Aquarius is a little bit too strong, and you want to pull it back into the South Node in Leo, because the South Node in Leo is much more about warmth and confidence. If you're feeling superior because of the things you're doing, that's almost not heeding the lesson of the North Node. That will take you off into a distortion somewhere along the lines. It's meant to contribute to you, you know. So one of the phrases that came up for me when I was recording the main North Node in Aquarius video that I released yesterday on the 16th of August was that the North Node in Aquarius and the South Node in Leo were really teaching us that communities honor individuals and individuals contribute to communities. Like there's some give and take, some reciprocity. How this might come in here is like the thing that you're doing, the thing that you're loving to do for yourself. How is that also contributing to the world around you? So, for instance, if you had a couple of things that you really wanted to do, and one of them you could see, man, that would really help. Or, man, if I was doing something I loved, I'd be such a nice person to be around. I don't know what it is, what's going on in your head, but anything that you do that feels like it has an ultimate purpose, I think could be very, very useful. Only as so far as you don't end up getting superior. Or if you find that it's attracting superior people into your life, then you think, whoa, maybe I need to just step back a bit. So that superiority could be quite a big thing. And Aquarius is a beautiful sign, and you know it creates like a beautiful structure, a beautiful context. It's ruled by Saturn and Uranus. I mean, they're pretty hard hitting in together. They are looking for, you know, something that is kind of perfectly changing and transforming. And with, you know, Pluto here as well, it feels like whatever you're developing for yourself could really change things. But it could, that you're developing yourself, it could become such a strong movement that you kind of become pure or rarefied and less understandable by the people around you. So that's just something to watch out for. Now the South Node and Leo, the South Node and Jupiter in Leo are super approachable. And so again, the energy is like, how can you incorporate some of the Leo energy in there? It's warm, it's confident, it's reminding you of the ease that you have with people. It's reminding you of the willingness that you have with people. And it's reminding you of how popular you are. And again, if you find that you're starting to feel a bit proud of where things are going, that's an indication that that South Node Leo is a little too strong. And it's like, okay, how can you contribute a little bit more, you know? So if you're feeling the sort of egoic pride or the I'm a bit too good for this. That's an indication that the nodes have pulled you too far one way or the other way in your charts. But mostly, I think these will work together. You might find that you develop something for yourself and then you invite people to come and join you in it. So for instance, like I know someone who makes knickers. I don't know if knickers actually translates to knickers in America. I should know this because I was talking about big old baggy knickers last week, wasn't I? The panties, maybe. So I know someone who makes knickers, and they're very creative and very beautiful, and very skilled at finding old strips of material and putting them together to make beautiful big knickers with lace and beautiful colors and stuff. And they enjoyed it so much that they ended up running workshops teaching people to make their own knickers. And it's such a simple but beautiful thing to do, something that came from them that they loved to do, that they shared. And then there's this like beautiful feeling of contribution. And the funny thing is, communities come together so much better when they're not coming together to be a community. Isn't that interesting? When there's something of interest between people that naturally inspire, people are just in conversation, they're making knickers, but they're really talking about the world and really opening up to each other. And that's the beauty of communities. And actually, to me, that's the power that you have during this next 18 months, is what you are doing for yourself could actually influence lots of people without even meaning to. And to me, that would be a really great outcome from this nodal position. So I hope that's helpful to you, Libra. If you would like to unpack your chart with me, then just get in touch. All of my details are below. You can invite me to work with you just by clicking on my Calendly link and booking directly into my diary. But coming up, talking about communities and astrology, funnily enough, and that sort of Aquarian energy, which is kind of Uranian, but Aquarius is very much about astrology. Next Monday, should find out what date it is, around about the 24th, something like that, the Monday near the early 20s in August. I'm going to be running a series of 5-minute interventions, 5-minute challenges, maybe 5 minutes of inspiration about astrology. You don't have to know anything about astrology, or you could know loads about astrology. This is about like a little check-in to see a different side of astrology, just for 5 minutes every day, because it occurs to me that if we all did something for a short amount of time, a little burst, and we add that up over the course of a month or a quarter or a year, that would compound. And what could you learn about yourself in that time? So if you'd like to learn about astrology and yourself over a period of days, months, years, whatever, 5 minutes a day, it's a small commitment and it costs absolutely nothing. All you need to do is come to my community, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So anyway, lots of love to you. Have a great one, Libra, and speak to you all soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Scorpio. This is for you if you've got Scorpio rising or if you've got a Scorpio sun. I'm joining you here. I've got Scorpio rising too. So what I'm going to explore with you right now is what happens when the North Node goes into your 4th house. In particular for you, in the sign of Aquarius, and also the South Node comes into your 10th house, in particular in the sign of Leo. We've also got Pluto in the 4th house currently, so you get to experience that, and also Jupiter in the 10th. So both of these planets are going to make a conjunction with their node. And when that happens, there's going to be some very, very strong energies. The Jupiter South Node conjunction is about 8.5 months, starting in this October. And then the Pluto and North Node conjunction is starting in May. These are going to be really big times. So the last time the North Node and South Node were in these positions was in 2008, January 2008. And even though that might have been quite strong, what's coming up right now is much stronger because of the planets here. It's very, very intense. So let's have a look at what's coming up, what we can expect. So first of all, with the North Node coming into the 4th house, it's absolutely drawing your attention to all things to do with home, stability, making things work at home. It's also really asking us about our family. How can we make things feel good in terms of our family? It's also looking at your roots and your feelings of belonging. So yeah, like one of the questions we might be asking during this time is, where do I belong? And any issues that you've had to do with belonging, or feeling like a stranger, or feeling like, you're not significant in your own space, they'll all be challenged by this. In many ways, this 18-month period that's going to take you until March 2028, this is going to help you know where you belong. It's going to help you really feel like you've answered a big question for yourself. Now, similarly, the South Node in the 10th house is going to help you come full circle, I think, about some old skills that you've had. This might very well show up reminding you about all the amazing things you've learned, all the amazing skills that you've had, all the amazing places and authorities that you've enjoyed. It's going to really show you where you've succeeded before and where you can succeed again. Now, between the North Node and the South Node, the South Node is showing what's happened in the past, and the North Node is showing what's coming up in the future. So there is a definite direction, and that direction is, okay, it's about the home now. Let's focus on what's required at home, rather than focusing on your career, because that 10th house is, it's very attractive to go where it's easy. It's very attractive for you to cling to your career because it's easy. It brings in money. It's easy to be seen. There's a lot of potential glamour about what it is that you do, especially if you've got Leo in the 10th. But this is really wanting you to attend to everything to do with your home. And also the stability of you and your relationships. Now, with the North Node in Aquarius and Aquarius in the spot of the 4th house, there might also be this feeling that there's not that much security anyway. Like, out of all the signs to have in the 4th house, Aquarius is the least stable, I would say. Aquarius has this energy of being a little bit independent, a little bit shocking sometimes, and that's, I think, the Uranus factor. Like, Uranus is one of the rulers of Aquarius, and so it does tend to bring in this slightly shocking, slightly disturbing energy into the 4th house. And so the North Node coming in here, I think, is going to remind you, okay, maybe you've never been that good at being at home. maybe you need to come to terms with how different you are, how you might hide how different you are, because the 4th house is where we hide things. The 10th house is where things are so public, where people see you out and about and they just think, oh, look, that person's really normal. And then the 4th house is where we hide ourselves. And, Aquarius, it's like, yeah, the more people come into your home, the more different they realize you are. So again, this might also be, how can you be at ease with being different? Maybe how can you be at ease having been different in your birth family? How can you come to terms with that? So it actually feels like this next 18 months is going to be really quite critical in learning about yourself, understanding yourself, and letting yourself be who you are. Now, I did say this in an earlier reading, the readings that go from in the 1st house, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th, they're the most important ones, because the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and 10th, they are known as angular houses. And angular houses are the places where our life moves considerably. And also, they are houses that change our identity. I mean, obviously, the 1st house is all about you, and the 7th is all about your partners, and the sort of interplay there. Your identity changes a lot because of these. But your identity also changes because of your home, like the home you live in. Maybe you're getting ready to move home. Maybe you realize your home is not the right place anymore. To me, it feels like there's going to be a lot of questions about your home. And I think by the time that we come to March 2028, as the North Node moves through your 4th house and into your 3rd, that may well resonate with a time when you look back and you go, oh my God, my house has changed. The way I live has changed. The way I feel about myself has changed. And I'm actually a lot calmer about being myself. I'm okay with my weird. Now, given that South Node is in the 10th house, I think the South Node is also very helpful here, because the South Node is showing you where you've already been brilliant. So don't be at all surprised if ideas from the past that you thought were great and then you forgot about suddenly come up and are very useful. So you might find there's a lot of going around the houses, revisiting lots of old ideas. Even if you worked in a completely different area, even if what you're doing just feels like a million miles away, notice what commonalities there are. Where are there similar things or similar skill sets? Because when you've been successful in the past, it's been great. And that's what's ready to be reincorporated. Now, with both of these positions, there's going to be a distorted energy and then an integrated energy. Now, Pluto in the 4th, like Pluto, wherever he goes, he causes discomfort because he shows us what we're trying to hold on to for dear life. And he also shows us where we need to surrender and come to terms with life. And so having Pluto in the 4th house can be quite uncomfortable because, well, it shows that our home might change, or the people that live in our home with us might change, or that the home we've been living in is a lie. I mean, Pluto shows us, sorry, I've got an itchy nose. Pluto shows us sometimes the cruelest of truths. And so as the North Node gets closer and closer, you might find that there's a truth that you need to really see for yourself, and it will transform your home. Now, here I've put in, that this conjunction is going to show how our actions are transforming the collective. But if we apply this to your home, from May 2027 until March 2028, there's going to be this very strong feeling that your actions are transforming your home, transforming your roots. That's big. I mean, this aspect doesn't come around very often. This aspect comes around every 16, 17 years. So this is really not common. And then similarly, the South Node and Jupiter coming together happens every 6 to 8 years. Again, it's not frequent. They're going to be in a conjunction for 8.5 months. I don't know if you can hear that. I've got probably three fighter jets flying over my house at the moment. They go up and down the coast of Portugal quite regularly. They're super loud. So anyway, the South Node and Jupiter, they come together every 6 to 8 months. And when they come together, they remind us of how brilliant we are and how wise we are, how confident we are, how much we've grown, how relaxed we can be in ourselves, which I think is great. But it can also show where things get blown out of proportion, where we become complete twats. Sorry, not a technical term, but where we become egotistical, where we inflate ourselves, where we become really proud and bloated in ourselves. And so you might get a little reminder of that if you're not careful. This could be where the quintessential phrase of British parents and possibly other parents around the world is, don't be like that. Don't get too big for your boots. If you carry on like that, you won't be able to get out of the house because your head is too big. That's the sort of Jupiter South Node energy. And of course, it's in your 10th house, which is a very public place. So if you it's good to remind yourself of all the amazing skills and talents and things that you've done and how to bring them back to life. That's fantastic. What you might also need to release is anything that feels like, oh my God, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, because that could absolutely be seen in public. And you might be overinflating yourself. So it's a really interesting balance. And the great thing with the South and the North Node is that They are absolutely always in opposition, and they will really show you that when you're too big for your boots here, your roots really fall apart. And when you're all rooted and sort of like transforming, you know, there's not so much of an eye on your career. So in many ways, I think what's going on for you over the next 18 months is, and I said this about the overall energy for all signs, I said it's going to teach us that communities honor individuals and individuals contribute to communities. But what I see here is we have homes that honor individual journeys, and then individual journeys that contribute back to the home. So I think, you know, to be in balance with these nodes, your ease in your career is going to contribute directly back to your home, and your home has to be set up to honor the weirdness in you, honor the special uniqueness in you, so that you can go out in the world and do the things that you do. So I think this is actually going to be a very transforming, very special time. I think you're going to go through some really big changes. And this could be a time actually when your career really starts to grow beautifully. And in fact, I don't know if when you look at your chart, if you look at your chart with Placidus or with whole sign, these are really set up for whole sign. But if you've got your IC, the angle to do with the home in the 4th house, and if you've got your MC somewhere in Leo in the 10th house, when the nodes go over your career and also over your IC, the home, you might find these are the times when all of a sudden everything takes off at once. Like your career suddenly goes like magically blossoms and all comes out and everyone sees you, and it's easy, and at the same time there's a really strong force to move you into a new form of rootedness. So I think there's going to be some big changes for you, because home and work absolutely transform our lives. So go leave that there. I hope that's helpful. Sending you lots of love in this period. And if you'd like me to explore it with you, then just get in touch and book a session. And next week from the 24th, I'm going to be doing a little sort of challenge exercise, 5-minute astrology, exploring astrology for 5 minutes a day. In different ways. So even if you're new to astrology, or even if you know astrology really well, just by focusing for 5 minutes a day, I think there's going to be some great gifts. So if you want to join that, come into my free community on the school platform, and we'll see where it takes us. Anyway, lots of love. Take care and catch up with you real soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Sagittarius. This is your forecast for experiencing the nodal shift, with the North Node going into Aquarius, the South Node going into Leo. And for you, they're moving through your 3rd house. That's where the North Node is. And the 9th house, that's where the South Node is. Now, this is going to be an interesting time, this 18-month period, because you've also got Pluto in your 3rd house right now, and you've also got Jupiter in your 9th house. Jupiter and Pluto are really big energies, and what's even bigger is when they come into a conjunction with the North Node, like Pluto is, or the South Node, like Jupiter will. So these two rare conjunctions are also going to be part of this forecast. So where do I start? Okay, right. First of all, let's look at what's just happened. So you've been going through a time of having the North Node in your 4th house, the South Node in the 10th. To me, that's about getting your roots right. And you might have felt quite unrooted. You would have explored belonging from a really big perspective, and it could have really done your head in. You might have felt very unbalanced and very ungrounded as the North Node taught you some big old things in your 4th house. Hopefully now you're feeling a lot more grounded, but this time in yourself, like you realize your body, you are your own home. And then from that, your home kind of arrives around you. Similarly, the South Node has reminded you just how brilliant you are. It's reminded you of all your great projects, all the amazing things that you've done, and all the amazing things that you might continue to do. Now they're moving the North into the 3rd house, the South Node into the ninth house, it's bringing in, I think, some refreshment. You know, the third house is about local communities, and that communal experience, maybe teaching experience. Like the third house is the typical school. It's also your community at an everyday level, like keeping it really real. And then the ninth house is, you know, where the high teaching goes on, you know, where we explore the world, explore spirituality, philosophy, where we study, maybe where we become a high level teacher. So it's interesting because there's two mentions here of teaching, like teaching at a primary level, maybe at a sort of infant school level, according to where you are in the world. You might have different names for it, but a sort of elementary school kind of experience and a local friendly community experience versus a highbrow university foreign experience. And so you'll be exploring both of those through the nodes. Now, the South Node in the ninth house is the easiest one to explain, especially to somebody with Sagittarius rising or Sagittarius sun, because you naturally do this. This is that part of you that naturally loves to learn new things, jump into things with like 2 feet and this sense of curiosity. You know, you naturally inquiring, naturally able to hold new concepts and ideas and to see the whole breadth of the world through lots of different perspectives. So the North Node coming through here, and also Jupiter going through the ninth house, is showing that everything to do with learning is just moving you into a different place. It's very, very transforming. There's so much going on. You may well want to be teaching, sharing, studying at a much higher level. You might want to be broadcasting. You might want to write. If you've ever wanted to write a book or an ebook or something like that, this is the time. It's also good for content creation, if that's, you know, your thing. Absolutely is a ninth house endeavor. So to me, this is about what you think and feel and believe and how that can be spread in the world. So the South Node is showing where you're really good at doing that. And all your old skills come back. I mean, obviously, just recently with the uptick in your work, you're now really well placed to do that. So that looks really good. Now, with this North Node in the third house, this is where you've got some more learning to do. So anywhere where you feel like popularity was difficult, school was difficult, living in your local community was difficult. Remember, the South Node is showing what's easy, and you've naturally got this energy in the Sagittarius. You know, it's just a natural Sagittarius position. If you've struggled with everything local, everything from childhood, siblings and things like that, feeling important at the beginning in the early years, feeling important at school, these are all things that the North Node is going to bring in. If, like me, you had a few issues, you know, with early school, maybe with feelings of bullying or being excluded or just not fitting in, then the North Node's going to bring that to your attention. It's going to remind you of that, and it's going to challenge you. Like, how can you belong? See, you've just explored belonging to yourself and belonging to your family when the North Node was going through the fourth house. Now you're going to be like, how do I belong to a community? How do I belong to people? How do I belong in this social environment? So it's a different kind of belonging, but it naturally follows. So it's good. You're in safe hands. You're in your own hands. And maybe you'll learn to trust the people around you a lot more. This is a lot more social. So if you don't like being that social, that's going to be a challenge. Now, this is in the sign of Aquarius, and this might be one of the reasons why you struggle sometimes in communities, in local communities, because Aquarius, wherever it shows up, can show superiority. It can show where there's this perfect idea of system that works for everyone, and yet it doesn't really work for you because, you know, Aquarius can be very systemized, systematic, equality, diverse, blah, blah, blah. But it can also be highly individual. And depending on whether you really like the individual side of it or whether you're very comfortable being one of the many within the system, it's going to bring up challenges. So one of the things that I think is going to come up with the North Node here is your approach. Like, how are you going to fit into your community, the local community around you, if you feel like one of many? Or how are you going to fit in if you feel different? Again, if you've grown up and this just isn't part of your script, this is going to be easy. The third house is one of the easiest places to do this. Now, there is a caveat. So Pluto shows us where really strong people come in and strong feelings, and in particular in the third house, where strong movements come in. And especially, with your Sagittarius rising or Sagittarius sun, you might find it really hard if in your local community or in your own community, a strong person comes in that's very dominant or very dictatorial, especially from May 2027, as the North Node gets closer and closer to Pluto. You might find that there are some very strong movements coming to your hometown that feel very difficult to integrate in your life, and or very, very strong people. From a place of self-protection, and this might be my own fear talking, so ignore it if it's not relevant to you. If you come across somebody who seems dominant, but also hidden or secret, like, this isn't a time to fall out with anyone. So if you recognize there's someone in your community that maybe you shouldn't trust, or maybe that you just get a slight intuitive, I'm not sure about this, my advice would be to be very cautious, because that Pluto type, and Pluto can be very hidden, very manipulative, very gaslighty. That person could get really empowered, especially as the nodes get very close to where they're showing up in your third house. So watch out for strong people coming into your local environment that might be pulling you into their world, especially during this time. It's a balancing act, because you might find that there's really powerful people in your community that are pulling you into their world, and you're going to rise with them. But we can never know that for sure with astrology. We can see the potential that power and community and transformation are coming in. But how you'll work with it is dependent on your previous experience. If you've got a history of being bullied or manipulated, if you're really kind-hearted soul, then I would watch out, be a bit protective of yourself so you don't get pulled into somebody's manipulation. But again, that would be a really strong learning for the third house, which is learning to be yourself in a community of people who are very different. Now, if you are somebody who wants to be a content creator, or somebody who wants to share stuff and share within an online community, this could be the time that really makes you. This could be a time when you're coming into your own power. Now, the thing to watch out with Pluto is it becomes, especially in the sign of Aquarius with the North Node, those three could be morally superior, that you might have a community that's like up itself. I don't think that's going to happen if you've got Sagittarius rising, but I'm putting it out there. It's one of the darker sides, is where a community becomes an echo chamber. So that's important to watch out for. On the other hand, like Leo in the South Node in the 9th could just be this really strong idea of this is what's right. And it's almost like it's preaching from the pulpit, a bit like, like a big, well, you could become a preacher. You might find that your message or what you're sharing just sounds like a political rally, or, something said in sermon. So either ends of these nodes in those positions could end up with this absolute moral or philosophical certainty. And that, of course, would separate you from the people that you might want to communicate with. So I think this is a really helpful time. But it's important just to watch out for when things get too egoic, inflated, or too rigid in their thoughts. Ultimately, I said this is about communities honoring individuals and individuals contributing to communities. From your perspective, I would say this is information that honors individuals and individuals that contribute to the sharing of information. So this is a beautiful, informative time. And this is a time when you're likely to evolve through community and also information. So wishing you a beautiful transit here. I hope it all goes well. If you'd like me to explore your birth chart, get in touch. Just book into my diary. It's the Calendly link. Or if you'd like to do an astrological experiment with me starting next week, which is Monday, the 24th of August, I'm going to be doing a 5-minute challenge every day. It's just to help people think about astrology just for 5 minutes every day, whether you know loads about it, whether you're a complete newbie. This is going to be to explore astrology. And if you look like 5 minutes every single day, like Monday to Friday, sorry, like over the course of a month, a quarter, a year, just how much your knowledge will improve about yourself and your birth chart, that would just be amazing. So if you're interested, get in touch, join my free community on School. It's completely free. I just think it will be a blast. So anyway, lots of love, Sagittarius. Catch you soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Capricorn. Let's have a look at your forecast for the North Node going into the sign of Aquarius and the South Node heading into Leo. Now, these are now officially in across the Aquarius and Leo polarity. And they're going to be here in these positions until March of 2028. So 18 months worth of this learning. And I say learning because the nodes are associated with what we're learning in life. You know, what do we need to learn? The North Node is always showing us the direction of how and where we're evolving, whereas the South Node is showing us what we've already learned, what we've already done a really good job of. So now in this forecast, what I'm going to do is talk you through what the nodal energies between the 2nd house and the 8th house are bringing about for you to explore. I'll also be talking a little bit about Pluto and his role. He will be in a conjunction with the North Node between May 2027 right up until the North Node goes into the sign of Capricorn. We'll also have a conjunction between the South Node and Jupiter and it's really soon, from October 26th right the way through to June 2027. These are very poignant moments. You know, when the North Node makes a conjunction with a slow-moving planet, it can be in that conjunction for many months. And the Pluto one is 10 months, 8.5 months in terms of Jupiter. Of course, when a planet goes retrograde and then forwards again, that also adds a lot more into this. So this is unusual. You know, this is like every 16, 17 years in terms of Pluto and the North Node, and every 6 to 8 years in terms of Jupiter and the South Node. So these are uncommon, and yet they are happening during this 18-month moment in time. And so this is important. Pluto in particular has been in your 2nd house now for at least 18 months. And so some of the things that he's been doing in terms of whetting the appetite, sort of like wetting the ground, preparing the ground even for the North Node to go into the 2nd house. I mean, the 2nd house is all about how you feel about yourself, your sense of self-ease, self-love, self-respect. Do you feel a great sense of self-esteem? How are you in terms of managing your resources, like the resources, everything that we use to value ourselves or bring value to ourselves is ruled by the 2nd house. Now, I mean, I'm going to be honest, you're in a masterclass of this. I mean, you know, from the COVID times, you have had Jupiter and Saturn enter into your 2nd house together. Jupiter went through it, Saturn went through it. Now, you know, Pluto's going through it, and now the North Node. I mean, you don't get much more of a hard lesson than that. So there's a lot of learning that you've been doing in the last 5 years in terms of what money you're bringing in, what money means to you, and how you have linked money and self-esteem. You know, how have you worked this? Now, Pluto often shows where we're clinging on for a particular outcome. Pluto often shows us how we're not going to get that outcome because we're too involved. We're too passionate that things happen in a particular way. as the North Node comes in, it's also going to be working us. Like the North Node is showing us what we've yet to learn. The last time it was in this position was in 2008. So, I wonder, what were you learning in 2008? 2008, of course, was the time of the last financial crash. So not suggesting that that's going to happen again. However, the North Node and Pluto coming together in your second house could show where there are really big things going on with your money and also how you value yourself. So I don't know what of this has already started to occur. Previously, before the North Node came in here, he's been working you on your contributions in the local community and your sense of belonging in the world. And in fact, if I go back to the previous one, so you've been working on belonging at home, knowing where you belong, strengthening your roots, then practicing your roots in your local community and being helpful, building a case for your value. Now where the North Node is, it's showing you that you have to be the one that decides your value, not other people. So this is like, how can you take the lessons from the last 36 months, so the last 3 years? How can you take these last 3 years and show your own, or know your own value? That's the big question, because the more you know your value, the less you're going to fight with Pluto. And the less you fight with Pluto, and he's going to be in your second house for a really long time, for at least another 17 years. So you might as well learn to not struggle with money now and not struggle with self-concept and self-value. Hence why this North Node coming through here is going to be particularly helpful. Now, before I go any further, I want to step over to this side of the chart, because the South Node shows what we've already done, what we've done quite well. And it also shows where we've got a certain amount of ease. And in the sign of Leo, its natural style is that of you're quite warm about, thank you very much, just been bought a cup of tea, that's very good, thank you. So the South Node in the 8th house, to me, is suggesting that things to do with managing your investments, managing things to do with banks, managing things to do with inheritances or shared assets between family members, or managing your finance with your partner, refinancing cars, like everything to do with managing money for other people is something that you've actually been quite good at. And also managing affairs for other people, getting to the nitty-gritty of things, especially when it comes to family relationships, in terms of understanding the dynamics within a family. Your stoicism that I think Capricorn really brings to the mix, and your practicality, like your need to ignore the drama and cut to what this means. So for instance, if you've got family members all squabbling over something, or some of them feel guilted, some of them feel angry, some of them feel resentment, your approach is, okay, these are the facts, this is what we're speaking about, how can we resolve this as calmly as possible, without any need for nastiness, without any need for competition? Let's just sort this out in a way that's really calm. And I think you're really good at that. And the South Node here is suggesting that anywhere where you've resolved issues, you've unearthed these unholy secrets, and yet you've been able to sort it out. You're really good at sorting things out for other people and helping people trust you because of this. It's kind of like a superpower. And so with Jupiter in your 8th house, that's also showing that you've got another chance, another opportunity to go even deeper with the people you love, even deeper with the banks, the building societies, the mortgage companies, blah, blah, blah. All of these shared investments, shared valuations of who you are going really well. Like, it's like your stock is strong. In fact, if you needed to ask for a loan right now, or if you needed help with something, you could probably bring in the help via somebody that you've assisted. So to me, it feels like you've got so much strength out there, you might not even realize it. And over the course of the next 18 months, you're going to realize just how important it has been that you've done the things that you've done. Now, the big question is, does your great job that you've already done translate into how you feel about yourself? So what this aspect, this transit is going to bring in for you over the next 18 months, I think, is why do you do the things that you do? Why have you investigated the tricky subjects for other people? Is it just because you're earning money from them? Is it just because you're the best person for the job? Or is it because you don't value yourself enough? And so you create situations for yourself so that you can be appreciated. So all those kinds of things are likely to come up. As the North Node goes through here, it's going to encourage you to have cast iron belief in yourself, not the sort of pretense and bravado that you might pretend to have, not the smooth exterior of course I'm fine, I've got Capricorn rising, I've got this. None of that. It's like getting to the core of you. And if there's a side of you that you haven't developed, that you might need to develop, like, maybe there's a side of you that you've shelved or parked so that you can do this difficult work, so that you can be the hero and save the day. Now you've got an open opportunity to tune in to some of those parts of yourself that have been ignored and to work on them. Pluto shows us our shadow side. And so you're having to face yourself and all of your vulnerabilities, and to see how you are powerful, and to also see how power takes you. And so the North Node is really going to bring in so much more of this meaning. Now, in the overall part one, where I was talking about the North Node in Aquarius, I was also talking about the role of communities versus individuals, because Aquarius is very much about the community and Leo is very much about the individuals. And I can see that when they get really polarized, we get massive distortions where, on the one hand, you might think, wow, I'm special. Or the people in your life might think you're really special because of your superhuman ability to resolve things. Whereas you might find Aquarius can sometimes be, accused, in a sort of distorted way. It can sometimes be accused of like being a bit morally superior. And so the North Node and Pluto here are really sort of encouraging this, I am right. And when that Aquarian energy gets distorted, we can get very caught up in the rightness of things, and not in the humility of things. And we can forget why we do the things we do. And so my sort of phrase for this particular moment in time is that communities honor individuals and individuals contribute to communities. But I actually think that in terms of your chart, this would go a little bit something like this, that your families, your birth families honor your individuality and honor your core value. And the core of you is contributing to your birth family. Or maybe not your birth family, it might be my partnerships, the people I have shared things with are honoring me, and I'm learning to contribute to those partnerships. So there's something very intrinsic here about value, that you're learning about yourself and also learning about your true value with other people. So let's just talk finally about the energy of these conjunctions. So as the North Node gets closer to Pluto, I think there's a test coming up. Now, I guess a lot of this depends on what you're testing. For instance, if at the moment you're building a business and that business you're expecting to make a lot of money, first of all, I would be really planning to get everything up and moving. So by the time you get to this May 27th, through to March 28th, that this is a time when you are practiced, rehearsed, seamless, when your offering is really strong. if I was in your shoes, I might be developing a business about power or managing power for people or teaching communities how to work powerfully together. So I think anything to do with power and the dissemination of power is really, really helpful. But anywhere where your business plan is about being powerful over other people, I think that's when the distorted North Node moral superiority is likely to come out. And that, I suspect, judging from how I've seen Pluto react in other people's charts, or like the consequences of a harsh Pluto transit in this area, my experience with my clients is that when we challenge Pluto in our charts, that especially when we're not like humble, especially when we feel like we're in charge of things, Pluto often slaps us down and shows us actually how to surrender. So my advice to you, if you're building something right now, is build with humility, build with a feeling of, if it doesn't go exactly like this, that's fine, because it's more important to build what is needed. And what is needed is not a fixed destination. The North Node here is showing that nothing is really fixed. That your value or the value that you bring to your communities, to your business, to your families, to everyone, your value is not necessarily fixed. The more fixed it is, the more likely Pluto is to tripping you up and giving you one of those power game struggles that you're likely to lose. So work with Pluto and the North Node. Recognize that from May 27, it's like, it feels like things are turned up in volume. It's the time when your power can grow. However, if your power is growing in that certainty and distortion, it's likely to be challenged. Whereas if you're developing your power to empower other people, or to honor communities, or to create something of value to many people, you're unlikely to be challenged in that way. That to me feels like one of the core lessons. Now, you might not be building a business at all. It might have nothing to do with business. This might just be about your own survival, your own feelings of yourself. So again, if that's your case, if I was in your shoes, I would spend the next 6-7 months building my body or doing something that makes me feel good in myself. That might include doing some volunteering or something that brings in a naturally good feeling. The North Node in Aquarius is also absolutely encouraging us to think in terms of our values inside communities. So to me, anything that gives you that feeling of, I'm a great person, I love being myself, is worth doing, knowing that by May next year, things are likely to be amplified and the energy of your own influence and power is likely to increase. Now, and this is happening before then, the South Node in a conjunction to Jupiter. As this starts to come in from October 2026, you might find that people that you've helped want more from you. You might find that that people are pulling on you as a resource, that you become really important to people. You might also find that people are wanting your wisdom and your confidence. You might find that you're reminded of times when you've needed your wits about you to resolve tricky subjects and situations. And in that, you could be really inflated. You might find that the people around you start seeing you in a much nicer light. Now, that is really helpful because that can show you your wisdom, your confidence, and your value to other people, which of course informs your value here. And right now, the North Node is wanting you to feel good from your own self. However, if people start blowing you up, the chances are your ego, your pride could inflate. And that's one of the downsides of Jupiter and the South Node working together in your 8th house. So watch out for dogmatism. And any time you feel that people around you are putting almost like a fake reputation on you, like, oh, you're so good. When people are fawning over you, you might want to put them straight and say, look, I love that you love the impact I bring into your world. However, I don't like it when you say this, and this. I find that hard to work with. So to me, this is about honoring your individual expression especially in terms of the value that you're bringing. So I think this whole nodal transit through your second and eighth house is to help you understand your value, put simply. And if you're looking at this from a financial perspective, I think you can really build something strong for yourself where you have power and you also have support coming from afar. The best way, of course, is to find integration so that you don't have to carry the power and the authority to be the person that keeps the eighth house people going. Like, all of the money to do with you and your family shouldn't just be on your shoulders. The best way is to engage others, in the money making together. So I don't know how you're going to do it, Capricorn, but I really think that you're made of tough stuff. So I'm definitely wishing you luck with this. It's quite a poignant North Node position, the second house, about our self-esteem and value. This could be a time when you really grow in confidence and really change your outcomes because you finally know your value. And I think that's a great question to ask, but to be able to answer that question is really great. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope that's helpful to you. If you would like a reading, if you'd like me to pay this kind of attention to your actual birth chart, then just get in touch, book in a session in my diary using my Calendly link. Or if you're up for a 5-day challenge, not a 5-day, a 5-minute challenge, Mondays to Fridays. I'm setting up a new 5-minute astrology project whereby I think we can all learn together. You can be completely new to astrology, already know stuff about astrology, but they're going to be little, short, broken down tasks aimed at helping you learn more about yourself. And I think each of these little contributions is going to really help you to build something for yourself. So if that sounds like something you're curious about, feel free to join my free community on the school platform. And we'll get cracking next week on the 24th. Anyway, sending you lots of love. Have a great 18 months and catch up with you real soon. Bye for now. Hey there, Aquarius. This is the big one. This is the forecast for you with Aquarius rising or maybe Aquarius sun. This is huge because you've got the North Node going through your first house for the next 18 months. And you've got the South Node going through your 7th house for the next 18 months. The North and South Node are always in opposition. If you want to know more about that, check out part 1, which I released on the 16th of August. There's a lot of information in there. This bit here is specifically for you. I'm also in this forecast going to be talking a little bit about Pluto and his role over these 18 months, because the North Node is going to be in a conjunction with Pluto for 10 months between May 2027 and right into the point where the North Node goes into Capricorn. During this time as well, there's going to be a South Node Jupiter conjunction between October 2026 and all the way through to June 27. And these are really unusual aspects. They're very powerful aspects. This is one of the most powerful positions to have the North Node out of all of the signs I've been reading for. This is the big one. Because the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th houses, these are angular houses. Each of these houses is changing a particular part of your life so that you see things from a whole new perspective. Now, these are identity shifting transits, and nothing shifts your identity more, maybe not, like more than Pluto in your first house, and also Pluto in your first house and the North Node in your first house. So this is a huge time for you. And it really wouldn't surprise me if some of the things that the Pluto in Aquarius has been working for in your first house suddenly gets awakened in this 18-month period. I mean, Pluto is going to be here for another 17 years. So you might just catch the next North Node in Aquarius that's going to happen, in 18 years' time. It may well correspond with, Pluto just being right at the tail end. But to me, this is really, really important. This is very rare. This is really going to get things moving. So the first thing I want you to think about is to consider the changes you've been through in the last 18 months since Pluto came into your first house, because this has, I would say, brought quite a lot of courage, quite a lot of determination. Pluto's a very powerful planet. It really brings up this need to know what you're doing here and what your power is. It can be a wonderful power trip for sure. But it also brings in a transformation, like no more Mr. Nice Guy or Mrs. Nice Guy. This is where you're really, really sure about what you want and you're really wanting to go and get it. It feels like if I don't do it now, I'm going to lose this opportunity. Of course, that's not actually how it is, but this is a time when we can get very, very certain about what we need in life, how we want it to be. Pluto shows us where we get really strict and say, this is my bottom line. I'm not going to move anywhere beyond that. And often when we are threatening Pluto, like saying, you think you're going to come in and change me? I'm staying still. That's when Pluto says, oh, you do you? Right. Just you wait. So I think Pluto often shows where we end up surrendering. A big part of us surrenders. And it's a much harder lesson in the first house. So I've already asked that first question, how have you changed? But what have you been feeling really strongly about, like, and really resistant about? Like, this is who I am. And if you try and change that, I'm going to kick your ass, like that intensity. Like, where have you been feeling that in terms of your identity? Like, this is who I am. You cannot question this. These identity thoughts are the things where you're going to change the most on, most likely, and receive the biggest amount of wisdom over the next 18 months. It's interesting as well because Pluto in Aquarius, sorry if you can hear a cat meowing in the background. Oh God, it's very mad, slightly deranged cat. And he's completely looked after, by the way. He's just meowing. So Pluto in Aquarius is an interesting one because there can be a lot of controls over what feels morally right or superior. Aquarius, is known for many things, and it's brilliant, especially in terms of the beauty and humanistic energies and philanthropic energies it can bring the world. Aquarius really does want to change the world for sure. And with Pluto there, it can give you a lot of push to change the world and to do something that's going to make a difference. I love that about Aquarians. One of the negative sides of it is moral superiority, where I'm going to change the world because this is the right thing. And by default, everything else looks like it's wrong, like really, really wrong. And so it almost starts to, funnily enough, it erodes choice and choice and diversity and equality, something that the Aquarian energy really stands for. And yet when there's a superiority, which is the dark side of Aquarius, when that superiority comes out, then people aren't so open around Aquarians. And so you may well struggle with this, or struggle with the energies of this. You might find that people relate to you as if you've got the answers and you're a bit haughty. You might find that as you start changing, people start either seeing you as a powerful person. That's great. To me, this is talking about you being positively stood in your power. But if you've got some kind of difficulty in standing in your power and difficulty in expressing yourself in terms of what you think is your desire, what you want to do in the world, you might find with Pluto in such a prominent place and the North Node coming into this prominent place that your self-expression is something that's going to develop a lot over the next 18 months. I often find, with the strong outer planets going through the first house, we can often get pushback. If people think that we're too strong or too up ourselves or too fascistic. It's weird to call Aquarians fascistic because they abhor that. And yet when any idea gets entrenched as this is right, it can absolutely bring in this like eye roll from other signs looking at the Aquarian. So to me, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking the North Node is going to challenge you as to who you're becoming and how you're becoming and how comfortable it is. Pluto is bringing in this change, this need to do something great and to feel great, and to feel like you have some power and to feel like you can change things, to feel like you've got agency. All of that is really amazing. And I think what you're learning is, how can I be in power in a way that includes communities, that includes individuals, that includes everyone? So what I'm seeing here is, how can you become an includer as you become powerful? Because if you're including people whilst at the same time excluding people, that's going to bring up a few difficulties, I think, because the North Node is teaching lessons, and it's teaching lessons in the sign of Aquarius. So it's potentially teaching lessons on how to be more of a communard, how to be philanthropic, how to do good stuff, how to do good work, how to help humanity. So yeah, it's interesting. Now, the other side of the coin, the South Node in Leo, Jupiter's also there. This is where you realize that you might be taking on all the pressure and the tension, and that the people around you just seem so relaxed, so easygoing. They want to have a good time. Maybe you see them as causing the problems because they're having too much of a good time. They want things to feel easy. They want things to feel good. They want relationships to feel great. And they don't appear to put much effort in, not by your standards. And you're really giving yourself a real kind of boot camp at the moment. And so by comparison, you might start to wonder, well, what's this other person adding? I'm doing all the hard work here. I'm the one that's going through the changes. And yet, what's this person doing over here? It just looks like they're having fun. This isn't the time for fun. If you hear yourself going down that route, I think it could be helpful to recognize these people are just a mirror. They're showing you that you can have fun. And maybe they're showing you that you've lost sense of what is fun. Maybe they're showing you that all work and no play is actually not very good for you. And maybe they're also showing you that you'll get better results if you're a little bit more personable and a little less powerful. And so again, with these nodes, which are always in opposition, always teaching us something, and sometimes the teachings aren't very easy, it's teaching you that, yes, you're a powerful being, and let's not rush this. Pluto's going to be here for a bloody long time. Like, take your time. You don't have to build Rome in one day. That's not the purpose here. You've got 18 months of the North Node here. Take your time. Don't rush. Because when you rush, you become an authority. When you become an authority, you become forceful. When you become forceful, you lose support. Yet when you take your time, as if you're one of the people you know who you're secretly looking at and thinking, God, they do nothing. If you can adopt some of their laissez-faire but stylish, charming energy, you might realize you get more done. You might realize that integrating both sides is going to help you. And I think if you were to recognize that working from a place of peace and warmth and confidence first, that's the thing that's going to help you make those power moves that you would really like to make. So this might sound quite hard. And yeah, I apologize if that does sound a bit hard, because I can see you're going through such a workout right now with Pluto in your first house, and now with the North Node coming through here. But I really see that what's going on here is going to transform you in a way that you've not transformed before. And the last time that the North Node was here was in 2008. And back then you didn't have Pluto going through here or Jupiter going through here. So this is a much bigger transformation. Whatever you did in 2008, this is with steroids. This is so much more powerful. So I think the changes that you wanted to make for yourself are coming in. Just don't rush. Let it unfold. You don't have to control it. Almost know that it's going to happen, feel that it's going to happen, and trust that life has got your back, because with these aspects, definitely something is working with you. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope that's helpful to you. If you'd like me to help you look at your chart, then just feel free to book into my diary. It's on Calendly. Just click on the Calendly link. Or if you'd like to do an astrological experiment with me, I'm starting something from the 24th. It's called 5-Minute Astrology, and it's encouraging you and inviting you to spend 5 minutes of every day just considering something about your chart. I'll be giving you guidance. And if that's of interest, if you're curious about what that might feel like to focus on a little bit of astrology every day, if you can imagine 5 days, like in a month's time, in a quarter's time, in a year's time, your knowledge of your own chart and what happens in astrology is just going to be off the chart. So I think this is going to be a great learning experience for everyone. So if that's something for you, come and join me in my free community. It's completely free to participate, and I hope to see you there. So anyway, lots of love to you. Take care and catch you another time. Bye for now. Hey there, Pisces. This is your forecast for the North Node going into the sign of Aquarius and the South Node going into the sign of Leo, which is now happening. And they're going to be there for the next 18 months, taking you until March 2028. Now, what I want to unpack in this short forecast is the effect that they are likely to bring in, what the North Node in Aquarius is asking of you. The North Node is always telling us the journey that we're taking right now, what's important to us. And the South Node in Leo is saying what you've already done well, what you probably don't need to focus too much on anymore. In these two areas of your chart, you've also got Pluto in the 12th house in the sign of Aquarius. And over the next 18 months, Pluto and the North Node are going to be in a conjunction for 10 months. Now, this is going to be an enormous energy taking place in your 12th house. This aspect only comes along every 17 years or so. So it's pretty big. We've also got a conjunction between the South Node and Jupiter that's taking place for 8.5 months as well in your 6th house. So again, this is also going to be sort of adding into the nodal energy that you need to process. So what does this all mean? Well, that's what I'm going to explain right now. Now, if you've seen my part 1, which I released on the 16th, that's got lots of information, generic information about the North Node, what it is, what it's about in the sign of Aquarius, the Sabian symbols, lots of really good quality information in there. In this one, this is all about how it's experienced through the Pisces Ascendant or even Pisces Sun sign lens. Like, how are you seeing it? So I want to start it first of all by just congratulating you, because you've just finished 18 months of having the North Node in your 1st house. Now, that's pretty big. It's associated with a time when we learn about ourselves, when we learn about the impact we make on the world, when we learn how our public image, our appearance, our body, like, it's all about us. So 18 months of all about you. Any lesson that you needed to learn about who you're becoming would have become really obvious over this last 18 months. And also, you had the South Node going through your 7th house, showing that even though you might have been struggling at times and learning about yourself, it just looked like it was easy days for your partner and how easy and relaxed they were. And I can see that could have been quite difficult by comparison. Like, oh, I'm going to do this change. Bloody hell, you look so relaxed, that kind of thing. So anyway, where we are right now is you've cleared a lot of things, and the North Node has come into the 12th house. Now, the 12th house is a place where we relax, where we retreat, where we drift away. And the 12th house is a place where we step out of the usual high energy, where we step out of the usual bustle and grind and I've got to get this done and I'll meet you at this time and you've got like 15 minutes before your next thing. It's where you step out of reality for a bit and contemplate a new pattern, a new rhythm, and something that feels a lot more soulful. So that's what you're looking for, is how can I bring back the soulfulness of my life? It's also a time when your intuition is likely to be off the charts, and also a time when you start to feel much more like part of the human race than you actually feel like a human. It feels like you're looking for communion, but not necessarily communion with actual humans in real life scenarios, but more like in communion with everything in a very sort of like non-specific way. I just feel, or I just am. This is the time when you might find that the life that you've crafted for yourself starts to dissolve a little bit. It's like in the last 18 months, you solved some ideas about yourself. You completed on that identity. And now it's like, okay, well, who am I? Where am I going? Now, those questions I don't think are that unusual for you, because you've had Pluto going through your 12th house for quite some time now. And so he has really prompted this deepening of the questions. Now, Pluto in the 12th house isn't easy. I've had him in the 12th house. It occurred in my early childhood, so my teens were really moody. But, you know, the 12th house can really show you where, you know, there are things where you might feel a little bit vulnerable by, especially with Pluto there. It can really show you where it feels like you lose agency and like, do I have power in myself? So, you know, one of the things that you might be dealing with over this time is, how can I drift away and relax when maybe it's not safe to? So I wonder if safety of being is something that comes up for you, because Pluto in the 12th is no easy ride. You know, it brings us face to face with our mortality and our fears. But it does increase our intuition. It's almost like an awakening that you're going through, really, with the North Node coming into the 12th house, and with Pluto here in the 12th house. It's very intense, very personal. And so I do think over the next 18 months, you'll probably want quite a lot of alone time. And I think it'd be very helpful to journal or reflect on your journey. Just because I said journaling doesn't mean to say you have to be all like disciplined about it. It might just be that you are reflective on a regular basis. I found walking to work for years was really helpful. It's almost autobiographical. You're kind of talking to yourself as you're walking a dog or something. Anytime when you get some regular drift off from reality time, I think is useful, so that you hear yourself. Because especially with Pisces rising, it's never that easy to know what is in your mind has come from you. It's so easy to feel influenced by other people. So I do think separating yourself from humanity a little bit will probably feel quite natural and quite necessary. Now, the South Node and Jupiter in your 6th house is trying to get you back into your daily life. And it's quite compelling, because Jupiter in the 6th is bringing more and more stuff into your world. You know, Jupiter before was in your 5th house, opening you up to so much creativity, and most likely you had loads of different ideas, and this is what I want to do. I want to do this, I want to do that. And most likely you now need more time to be able to do all the things that you want to do. Jupiter, when he comes into the 6th, often brings up a whole heap of stuff, because he's such an active and expansive planet. And the South Node shows what we've already learned, already done, already done very well. And when these two come together, it's going to show your natural authority, confidence, wisdom, belief to get things done, to get things moving, to be really active. But the South Node's showing us what we've done, not where we need to go back to. It's showing us where we've got some good resources already, but it's not saying you have to be here. So over the next 18 months, you might find that your attention is pulled into your daily life, so you can be throwing yourself into this and that and the other. But your soul and your body and your mind are really craving solitude and a bit of silence. Now, with the North and the South node, they always need to be in a balance, because if you go too far down one way, it gets very distorted, and the same if it goes the other way. The distortion here is that you become a kind of proud person ruling your life and saying, no, I can do this, I can handle this, I've done this before. Like the South node, it talks about what you've done before. I've done this before, I can totally do this. Or like you going to the gym like 20 times a week because you could do it when you were 20 and now you're 50 or something. And it's like, no, I can't do this. So it's like, give up. Don't be so proud. Don't be so inflated. Don't be so egoic about your life and how your life runs. Give yourself some space to reflect the changes you've gone through. Similarly, if you just stay in hiding on your own, reflecting on things, you could go into a dark hole and also into one of the most dangerous echo chambers there is, and that is complete solitude, where you have no pushback from anyone in a real capacity. You know, sometimes when we separate ourselves and just don't want to be around people, we get so into our own thoughts and so into the rightness of our thoughts, and we don't check with other people, because if we checked with other people, they might say, hang on a second, what do you mean by this? You know, and so we choose not to have pushback. We choose not to have a discussion. And when that happens, we could absolutely go into a kind of superiority, and then fall out of touch with what is really real, and what could actually support us. So I think you need to get a balance in between. Now, the statement that I put into my slides yesterday was that the North Node in Aquarius versus the South Node in Leo was, at its best, communities that honor individuals and individuals that contribute to communities. Well, I really see that playing out with you, only I would say that the unconscious is honoring you. The unconscious space, the liminal space, is nurturing you, is giving you something. And then from that, you're able to give your real life something. So I really see that what you're learning in your solitude has to come out the other way and be integrated into your real life. So it's almost like you learn to slow down so you can learn to take yourself not quite so seriously, and find out what happens when you do that. Most likely your mental health, your physical health, your nervous system will start to heal. Again, I'm not a doctor, just FYI, but that's as I'm seeing the flows for you. The last nodal flow was really hard hitting. Now it's time to just give yourself a little bit of a break, little bit of a breather, and see what magic occurs. So that's where I'm going to leave this, Pisces. I hope that's helpful for you. If you'd like me to unpack things in your birth chart, then just click on my Calendly link and book into my diary. It's as simple as that. If you would like to learn more about your charts or about the charts of the people you love, then I'm launching something next week. It's going to run Mondays to Fridays. It's 5 minutes. You don't even have to show up or anything. It's a 5-minute challenge or a 5-minute invitation. Because I think if we all focus on something small in our birth charts every day, or Monday to Friday, can you imagine over these little 5-minute increments how much you'll know about yourself and about other people over the course of a month or a quarter or over a year? I think that could be really quite wild, and I'm really happy to be offering it. If you're curious about that and would like to get going, then join me in my free community on the school platform, and we can take it from there. So yeah, whether I see you or work with you, however life is going for you, Pisces, I wish you a beautiful time with this node in your 12th house. Lots of love. Bye for now.